From the back room of the world-famous Governor's Comedy Club in the heart of Levittown, Long Island, it's Put Up, Shut Up, and Stand Up with your host, the Antipodeous Don Sill.
Wow, Antiphony. I don't know what that means. I'm going to assume it's something good. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Put Up, Shut Up, and Stand Up right here on govsradio.com and Facebook Live. This is the show where we take two comedians, put them head-to-head in a series of comedy competitions to see which one has what it takes and which one has what it ain't. I'm your host, Don Sill, and now let's meet tonight's judges. Our first judge is a first-generation Italian comedian who always finds a way of turning any situation into comedy gold. He exploded onto the comedy scene using social media as his launching pad, where he showcases his hilarious skits, song parodies, and of course his weekly Road Rage Wednesdays with his popular character Uncle Vinny. He is selling out venues everywhere he goes, folks, including right here at Governor's Comedy Club. He is the host of Sorry for What, right here on Govs Radio. He is Anthony Rodia, everybody, is here.
Hello there.
Thank you for joining us, Anthony.
No
Much
problem.
appreciated. Our next judge is a comedy legend who has a very diverse career in comedy. He is a comedy writer, and he wrote for such legends as Rodney Dangerfield, Joan Rivers, Richard Belzer, Phil Hartman, Jerry Lewis, and George Wallace, just to name a few. He also was the co-host on The Black Phillip Show with the late, great Patrice O'Neill. He's a comedian, a radio personality, and a dentist, and also the author of 6 books. He is a dentist, folks.
Just a rumor.
Yeah, and the author of 6 books. His newest books on how to achieve happiness, which is a bestseller on Amazon called Healing Your Heart by Changing Your Mind, a spiritual and humorous approach to achieving happiness. Right now, get it on Amazon. He's Jeffrey Gurian, everybody is here. Jeffrey Gurian, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Thanks. I don't just leave Manhattan for anybody, so.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the hike out here.
Glad to come out.
Coming all the way out here from Manhattan through the rain and everything else. I appreciate that deeply for you to come out here, because I know it means a lot not only to our show but also to our aspiring comedians that are battling it out tonight, and to hear your insight and some of your critique will go a very long way.
Thanks. And I just want to quickly address that dental thing. That's a nasty rumor, and you know when it started? The day I graduated from dental school, and it hasn't stopped since.
Well, I know sometimes you like to take the molars from the back and put them into the front.
Only for Salvador Dali.
Yeah, very good, very good. I also want to say hi to the Gagoots, our very own roasting specialist. The Gagoots is here. Gagoots, are you ready for tonight?
I'm ready to roast some meatballs. I'm gonna roast some eggs tonight. I'm ready.
What did you do to prepare for tonight? Did you do anything outrageous to get ready for this?
Yes, I made a mask that looked like one of the contestants, Andy, and I ran around through the mall naked, so it looking like Andy. That's what I did to go wild, and all of the insult that they say to me, I'm going to say to you tonight.
Andy does have a similar mustache to the Gagoots, I got to be honest. And hearing the Gagoots' accent, Anthony, is that offensive? I do want to say this is the third show of our tournament series, where all 8 winners from our past 8 shows will been battling it out. This is exciting stuff indeed, folks. And the prize for the winner of the entire tournament will be a spot on the Governor's Comedy Club main stage right here in Levittown, Long Island, everybody. Woo! Yes, the dates and times will be announced soon, but the winner will perform on the main stage, and it will be a paid performance. So good times indeed. Good times indeed. And now, let's meet tonight's contestants. Our first contestant went up against marquee comedian Chestnut in his episode and demonstrated his quick wit, sharp comedic timing and reflexes, and his distaste for overly buttered roles. He is the satire vampire, Andrew Plagianos, everybody.
Yeah, the white guy won.
Our next contestant took on Chit Chat Wheeler in her episode and showcased her self-depreciating sense of humor and fiery, tenacious spirit. She's cool. She's calm. She's still waiting on a cure. She's Dana McAllister, everybody.
White girl won. I just realized we're the white supremacy round.
Oh wow, yeah, you did both go up against
Big
African American participants, and you guys came out on top. And that has nothing to do with
Not to
your
say
privileges.
we're better, but, you know.
Has nothing to do with the privileges.
I'm only
Oh my
I-
goodness.
It's okay.
That was Andrew Plagianos, folks, at andrewplagianos.com.
I have the black vote then.
Right.
So
Yeah.
everybody go on
Yes.
the poll.
But it's quite a matchup with you two. We got one. Now, Andrew Plagianos, for you guys that don't know, he does a lot of stand-up comedy, but he also does comedy as a vampire. He dresses up as a vampire and does some vampire jokes out and about. Take us through some of those vampire, the incentive behind that.
So it's a Tony Clifton-inspired 70s lounge comic. I basically just yell at the audience and call them meatbags.
All right.
And try to take tired premises and make them into vampire jokes.
But you do it in the accent, right?
But I do it in the accent. My favorite one right now is, what's going on with these CVS receipts? You see how long they are? I haven't seen something this long since I was putting the heads of my enemies on the end of it. Well, not big history fans here, huh? Okay, mental note.
Yes, I love the vampire stuff. I think it's good. I mean, what's your take on going on stage and doing a character, Jeffrey? Do you think that's does it always work?
You know what? It's one of the hardest things in the world. It brings to mind a story about the late Phil Hartman, who was one of the best character actors of all time, on SNL. Well, the first time we roasted Chevy Chase at the Friars Club, I got to work with these young guys, because young guys weren't doing roasts in those days. It was considered an older comedian's thing. And so I was the liaison, and I got to work with Phil Hartman and Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon.
Oh, cool.
And Phil came out as Trump. And it's very hard. He was saying it to it's very hard to stay in character for a whole bit. It's
Right,
okay
yeah.
to do it for a line or two, but when you
Right,
have to deliver a whole thing and stay in character, it's one of the hardest things to do. So you have to make sure that you have it before you do it. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
the
have a
audience
full-
has to. It's like telling a long story on stage. You're taking a big chance. If a lot of your set is one long story, if the audience doesn't buy it, you're screwed.
You need the payoff.
Yeah.
And
By the way, what's the language like on this show?
we're kind of loose. You could drop
I'm
a bomb here and
basically
there. if you
clean. I
need
just
to.
wanted to check.
Yeah.
Just
Rated
in case.
PG-13/R.
Yeah, there you go. And Anthony, with you of course you have the famous Uncle Vinny. Do you ever take that onto stage?
No.
Yes.
No, so I a lot of people that come see me, they don't know what to expect. I don't. So anything I do on social media, I don't do the same thing on stage. So I write sketch comedy, then I write stand-up comedy. The stand-up is basically, stories, and I'll get into like my father's character, my aunt's character, my grandmother's character. But I mean, he's absolutely right. You don't stay in character. Like I'll have certain bits where I'm my dad, my aunt, and myself, and bringing you into a conversation. If you don't hit those characters on the head, I mean, it's just going to get lost.
And is that something you always had, like when you talk or you tell a story, do you get into each character as you're telling the story? or is-
Always.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom has like videos of me when I was like 6, 7 years old, imitating like my uncles. I got my ass kicked for it then because they thought I was, you don't want to imitate your older uncle as a 6-year-old because you're just, a little asshole kid. But now it's paying off. But it didn't when I was younger.
Now I'm sure they're honored when you do it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
my father does it. My father found out recently that Uncle Vinny is based after him. So now, he tells
Oh,
everybody.
he didn't know that?
No. He'll bring it up in a conversation. Somebody won't even be talking about it. They're like, oh, Tony, how's everything? Good. I'm Uncle Vinny. And they're like, what? I'm like,
Oh,
"You
he's
gotta
got the
kinda-"
accent?
Oh my
Yes, yeah.
God! If you talk to me and talk to him and blindfold yourself, you won't know who's who. Yeah, it's a very heavy Italian accent.
That's so funny.
And Dana, do you have any characters that you slip in and out of?
Being Dana, really, that's what it is. I can't believe you describe me as calm. so
How would
obviously
you
it's
describe
a
yourself?
ball of anxiety that limps around. And it's funny sometimes.
So how are you feeling now since your last show? Have you learned a lot on your last show from the judges, and did you adapt any of that to your stand-up?
I mean, I didn't adapt it to my stand-up because my stand-up's kind of all based about, self-deprecation, and I did okay on the show, so I couldn't really incorporate it. But I picked up some stuff for this round, so I got Andrew pretty.
So for Jeffrey and Anthony who don't know, tell them a little bit about your background and what makes you
Okay.
stand out amongst the crowd.
Well, I've been doing stand-up since February of this year, I have polio, so that's what prevents me from standing up amongst the crowd. So most of my stand-ups about that, and I try to make it relatable because it's funny to have, like, most people are pretty uncomfortable with a disabled person, a physically disabled person. So it's fun. It's a challenging way to make the audience not only comfortable enough to laugh, but then actually being relatable to the able-bodied. To you people.
I think that was racist.
Yeah, I know. What do you mean, you people?
Ableist.
That was disableist.
Are you a comedian?
Ding, ding.
So before we
That's
get
such an awesome thing. I just every once in a
Yes.
while somebody gets the courage to do something like that. There's not many people who do, and it's a wonderful thing. It empowers people when you can do that, and I think it's really fantastic.
Well, I tell you, I mean, comedy in general, I mean, I think it's getting lost. I mean, I do a lot of situations where if you could turn, an awkward or an uncomfortable situation into a laughing situation, I mean, that's what comedy is supposed to be. But people get so caught up in the actual situation itself that they overlook the comedy aspect of it.
Middle school and
All
high
the
school
time.
trained me for this. I'm
Yeah.
so good.
No, but it's so funny that on stage we do self-deprecating humor. We make fun of ourselves, but in the
Yeah.
outside, if somebody said that to us in the outside world,
cry.
Right, yeah.
smack them in the head. But on stage, we say it about ourselves, and it's
But like the
it
old
works.
adage says, and like
It
you even
works.
said in your book, is like, laughter is the best medicine. And I think in her case, and in a lot of people like that, to go up there and face it head on. Hey, I'm different. Here's why. Here's how it's funny. I think heals you,
Right.
and it also makes your perception of you empowered as well.
I mean, it addresses the elephant in the room. I can't just go up there looking like I do and start talking about like schools
And
or
not
something like
mention it,
that.
right.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
to. It's not like epilepsy where I can hide it until I fall down.
But what's interesting is that when you have
I do fall down.
what's interesting is that when you have something like polio, you would have it anyway, but you chose to use it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I say that in the book a lot about taking what could be considered a negative in our lives and turning it into a positive.
Right.
You're using it, and it helps other people as well as yourself.
I mean, aside from the polio, I also managed to incorporate. I have addiction issues. I actually have a year on February 7th.
Hey.
Sober,
Hey,
so.
all right.
All right.
Very
So,
good.
That's
so I
Congratulations.
just started incorporating that, and it's so funny because when I say rehab, because of the disability, people think I mean like,
Physical.
and I'm like, no,
Right,
no,
right.
all the drugs, all the drugs. No.
So I got more than one thing.
I can't go to that rehab gives out the drugs.
Now this is definitely quite a battle. Now we also have a fan poll that's right now live fan poll. So we're urging all of the watchers and listeners out there to go on Facebook. You can either go on Andrew Plagianos' Facebook page, Dana McAllister's, or the Put Up, Shut Up, Stand Up page, and vote right now or at the end of the show, because the polls are open till the end of the show, where we will decide based off the polls. The winner will get 10 points added to their final score. Last show, it was a deciding factor. Kind of, it gets controversial, but this is part of the game. So. Vote for who you think is best. You could vote now for the one you personally love already, or you could watch the show, see which one you think deserves it more. But anyway,
It's funny, I was just trying to figure out how I was going to vote, and now I realize I can vote right here.
yeah, you go right online.
I'm thinking, how am I going to get onto my Facebook page and vote? Right? I can vote right here.
Well, we're getting ready to talk about the fan poll. Benny, tell them what's going on.
Hey, Don, you want to know what's going on?
Yes, I do.
All right. Every comedian needs to brand and market themselves to the public in an effort to build a solid fan base. This live poll will test a comedian's ability to build a fan base and utilize social media to his or her advantage. Sounds cool, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm glad I wrote this. This challenge also gives comedy fans an opportunity to voice their opinion and vote for the comedian they deem the best.
Yes.
You're losing your mustache.
Yes. Look at goose.
Yeah.
To vote, please visit our Put Up, Shut Up, and Stand Up Facebook page. You will see the poll up there. It's pinned to the top. You have till 9 p.m. tonight to get your votes in, so please watch every round and vote for which comedian you think is best. And like I said, the comedian with the most votes by 9 p.m. Will receive 10 points to the final score. So this has been, like I said, quite the battle. We're getting ready to go into the drawing board, which is our joke writing challenge, which is our very first challenge of the night. This is a challenge where, if you guys don't know, it's where we sent these guys a premise. And the premise for today is, my friend is a moron. And then we sent them 5 random words. And the random words are occasion, fleet, grace, follow, and response. And Denny, are you ready to tell these people about round one?
Don, I'm ready to tell them about round one. I'm so excited. Every comedian should write their own material, and this round will test their joke writing skills like no other. Both comedians were tasked to write an original joke with a comedy premise and 5 key words that they received 24 hours prior to tonight's show. The judges will give their score based on originality, creativity, resourcefulness, and of course, funny.
Excellent, very good. So now we're getting ready. We're going to start it off. We're going to have the you two guys do rock, paper, scissors to see which one will begin the joke writing challenge. And here we go.
And on shoot.
Okay. Ready,
set, shoot. Okay. Ready, set, shoot.
All right, Dana McAllister, do you want to go first or you want to pass it?
I'll pass it.
All right. Andrew Flagenos, are you ready? The premise is my friend is a moron. The keywords, occasion, fleet, grace, follow, and response. And let's hear it.
All right, so my friend is such a moron. His girlfriend Grace goes to Fleet Week every year in Manhattan by herself. And we tease him about it all the time, right? So last year he decides we're all going to follow her in. She's in there maybe 15 minutes, right? And we see her chatting up this group of sailors. And they slip down this alleyway like 5 minutes later. So we go and we take a look. Well, she's going down on all of them. Right? Long story short, my buddy is all shocked and scared. So I look at him, I say, hey, maybe it's a special occasion, Tom. His response? Maybe she's just blowing him back on course.
Very good, very good. Andrew Plagenos with his joke writing challenge. So while the guys deliberate here, the judges deliberate and get their scores. Andrew, how do you feel about the extra word added in from the last time you did this?
Again, I didn't like it's just adding words. Like I tried to think of friends of mine and stupid things that I just focused on the premise and then just kind of crafted the joke around it. I actually had I made a second joke just in case.
No need
Oh,
to
wow,
show off,
really?
Andrew.
No, it's
All right,
no,
calm
it's
down.
my neurosis.
Like I wrote a plethora of jokes.
If you just put on some cool jazz and sit back, relax, and I'll regale you with yeah.
Speaking of, I mean, that was some suspenseful music for round one.
No
No one else reacted to it. So I sat here, I'm going, all right, this must be just coming out of my headphones.
Yeah.
You and Sam.
Yeah.
That's how it's going out there. Yeah, we want to make it like real game show-esque.
I was nervous for them. The music. Holy shit, that is some serious music.
Now, can I ask a quick question? Is this supposed to be a joke that you would tell on stage?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has to be a good joke where it has a solid setup and a punch, and if it has a tag, that's great too.
Okay.
So,
And what's the scoring system from?
1 through 10, and then so judge them based on all those factors that we had there, based off of originality, creativity, style, and of course the funny, and then also his delivery too. And it's 1 through 10. Then just give him a critique on what you think he could have done better, or what he nailed it, or all that stuff. So, Are you ready, Anthony? You want to kick it off?
Yeah, I would give it a 6.
A 6
Yeah,
from
I'm-
Anthony Rodia.
Thank you.
I'm a big storyteller. I mean, that's the premise of all my my stuff on stage. I mean, I captivate you, I get you into the story. It's just, I mean, and it comes with time. I mean, everyone asks, well, how do you deliver a story? You know, delivering a story is different than delivering a joke.
Right.
Because you have to kind of keep them on the edge of their seat, expecting, either the punchline or where the story is going.
Right.
So, I mean, when you tell a story, you want to make every portion of that story as interesting as the punchline. Don't
Right.
just try to race to the punchline when you tell it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. So a 6 from Anthony Rodia. Jeffrey Gurian.
It's funny because that was the score that I was going to give it. Was a 6.
Such
Nice.
a bullshitter.
And it's interesting.
Such.
I copied you, Anthony. And you know what's interesting about it is because I'm not a storyteller, and when I heard this, I expected that these well, first let me say, this is a hard thing to do.
Right.
It's not an easy thing to do by any means, but I thought that all 5 of these jokes, all 5 of these words, had to be in a very concise joke.
Mm-hmm.
To write a joke is an art form in itself.
Right.
It took me probably a year because I was thinking sketches. That's what I started out as creating sketches. Writing a joke with a premise and a punchline leading up to it is a very difficult thing, and I used to take words like this and try to formulate a joke that would come in 1 or 2 sentences. So it's punch, punch, punch. That's how I came up.
Right.
Guys would come up on stage. Years ago, when I was coming up, there weren't storytellers. People didn't really do it. It was mostly one-liners.
Right.
And so that's what I think. And so it's harder for me. It's like improv versus stand-up.
Right.
Improv can be clever, but it's not as hilarious
Right.
usually as stand-up, except for the audiences who go to improv. They tend to laugh a lot anyway because they're very supportive.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Part of the
Because they know it's happening right
It's the
there.
tension, right? It's the tension is part of
It's
it.
like
So I'm giving you-
participation laughter.
Right.
Yeah,
It's like you got up there, I'm gonna laugh. Good job.
Exactly. So I'm giving you a
It's like going
3-act
every open
play
mic
to
or
say that I appreciate the effort because it's a
Right.
really hard thing to do. But that's why I gave you a 6 and not a 10. It's humorous.
And it's
Thank you.
listen, I mean, what you guys are doing is basically what I do on Tuesday nights, or anybody that does a podcast. You're doing this, and you have no audience, you have no feedback, you
Right.
have nobody telling you. You know, we're here listening, so we can't react when you're doing it. So that's definitely harder than actually getting on stage, because at least on stage you have an audience.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I'm-
kind of hard. Yeah, it's kind of like going on.
Well, you have no energy to feed off.
Yeah,
of.
exactly.
Right.
I
There's
mean, I'm
no-
fucking limp right now because I'm shot, so I'm not contributing any energy whatsoever. I'll be the first to admit it.
And
You guys
also-
called me on a dead night. You should have did this on Monday. Monday would have been live.
And also, the reason I asked about whether you do it in your act was because I'm wondering, would you do that on stage?
To be honest, not like this. This is because
No.
I've had this joke for 24 hours.
Can you do
Right
it
now.
in a vampire accent?
Maybe that might make it funny.
You never know.
I was going to ask you that too. Are we allowed to ask them to repeat the joke?
Yeah, they can repeat the jokes if
Like
you
a
want to.
spelling bee? Can you use the joke in a sentence, please?
But we
Yes.
we
My
had.
friend is such a moron.
had somebody-
My friend is such a moron.
I think it was actually you repeated the joke last time.
No, I didn't. No.
Who did? Didn't Olga Niemer ask somebody?
Marquise, yeah.
Yeah.
Marquise
and when you
had to.
repeat the joke even loses a lot more of its steam.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like almost like dissecting or
Yeah.
explaining the joke, and then.
Yeah.
But if you do need to hear it again, they could definitely read
Well,
it again.
I like to hear how the words were used, the 5
gotcha.
words, because that's the art involved. You know, crafting a joke is very difficult. So
I think it's
I
hard-
look at those things.
To not make it sound like Mad Libs too. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
to me that's the big challenge. If I
Right.
was doing it, is to not get a.
You've got to kind of put
yeah.
the words that you have to use, kind of fit them in there where it's like you're not just fitting them in there.
Right.
Right, yes,
Yeah.
because otherwise you just got a Mad Libs joke, and anybody can do that. But now we're moving on to a Dana McAllister and
Yes.
her joke writing challenge. Again, I'll repeat it for anyone just tuning in, and also let us know your comments at home, what you're thinking of these comics so far. They work very hard to be here.
Be nice.
We got 2 great judges with us tonight. We want to know your thoughts. If they're deemed worthy by the Gagoots, by Benny Rizzuti, he will read them live, everybody. So anyway, the premise for Dana was, my friend is a moron, and the words are occasion, fleet, grace, follow, and response. And Dana, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I have this friend, her name's Grace, and she's such an airhead sometimes. Actually, on one occasion, she wanted to be extra sexy and decided to buy a douche for her husband. Unfortunately, she mistakenly bought a fleet enema. But at least she managed to follow the instructions, and her husband's response was better than expected.
Very
Fleet.
nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like the use of the words. I think that was pretty good.
I'm mad at how I started out. I was like,
How long did it take you to construct that one, Dana?
In the car right outside.
Really? Now?
It was really hard.
That's
hard, man.
Yeah,
That's very hard.
I think it's definitely a hard thing. So, Jeffrey, we'll start with you. What did you think of Dana McAllister and her use of the premise and the words?
I like the fact that it was shorter. To me, that's the essence of a joke, is to say, to get the idea out in as few words as possible, you know, and I would give it a 7.
Cool.
I like that you used all the words, as I said, you fit them in and it made sense.
Excellent,
So,
very good.
give it a 7.
Yeah.
7. And what do you think? Andy?
I'm not going to copy. I'm going to give it a 6, just like Andy, only because you used the words that you fit in were actually fit in a lot smoother. It didn't look like you fit them in.
Right.
But I think like the punchline could have been worked on more.
Yeah.
It was more of a story without kind of like, you know, the way I orchestrate my jokes and my bits is, you know, let's say you tell a 3-minute story. You got to hit them every 20 seconds. You got to keep them captivated.
Absolutely.
So it was great that it was short, but I was waiting for that punchline. But I mean, it was better the way you kind of put the words in there.
Cool.
And especially with the word fleet, because
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
of fleet enema too. It could have had a stronger punch. in some way.
Very good.
Cool.
I tell you, coming up with premises and jokes is not easy. And like Anthony, when you start writing a bit, do you already write it with the punchline in mind, or do you start with the premise and build to
You
the
can't go by me. I'm deranged. I tell every comedian that asks me, I think number one, you have to have a huge, like, I'm addicted to comedy. I can't do anything else.
Right.
It's the only thing that I've ever done where I've kind of, did well at it and didn't give up on it. But the way I write my jokes is, number one, I don't write what I think is going to be funny. I write what I think is going to be like relatable. So I could be online at the supermarket and I see 3 people react to something, I'll write a joke about it. But the way I normally do it is I'll sit in my basement and I'll come up with a punchline that I think is funny. And I'll write it down and then I'll orchestrate a joke around the punchline. So I kind of do it in reverse. Dave Chappelle does that. And when I heard he did it, I got like chills because it's almost working a joke backwards. Sometimes, like what you guys did, you made the story lead into the punchline. I write a joke, I write what I think is going to be funny, and then I orchestrate a joke around
You
it.
build up to it in the post. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty. And when you do jokes in Uncle Vinny's voice,
Yeah.
is that coming from your point of view mentally? Like, is it your thoughts? Like, let's say you're mad about the traffic, or are you saying this is what my dad would think?
That's how my dad would react.
Yeah,
Or a typical off the boat, And it doesn't have to be in Italian. I mean, it just so happens I'm Italian, but
Right.
I have Greek friends, Portuguese friends. It's that old school kind of immigrant mentality where there's no sugarcoating.
Right,
So it's basically what that particular character would do, and in this sense, Uncle Vinny is after my dad. So it's how my dad would react. My dad goes from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. The stupidest thing can have my father flip out. Yeah.
People love that kind of humor, and these days when everybody is offended by something,
Right.
it makes it really hard. Yanis Pappas is a friend of mine. When I brought him on
Yeah.
the radio as my guest, he's Greek, and he said he's gotten death threats from the Greek community because he does Mr. Panos,
Yeah.
which is a Greek accent.
Wow.
And
See, I mean,
so you can't even do your own accent.
It's
these days.
what's
They're
weird.
Wow.
So what's weird with me is I kind of got shit for it in the beginning, but I made a bold, and it could have backfired. I went on live on Instagram and Facebook, and I put out like 14-minute rant. And I basically said, if you're going to sit there and dissect comedy or critique comedy or analyze comedy versus just enjoying comedy, I said, you can go fuck yourself. And my manager, Dom, called me. He was like, and there goes your career. And it ended up, I lost followers. I mean, I probably lost a good 10 to 15,000, but I might have gained 60,000, and the ones that I had were more loyal, and the ones that I gained, I had their respect easily, right off the bat. So yeah, you're gonna get that. I always say if you don't have haters or you don't have people kind of going against the grain, then you're not creating enough exposure out there. You're gonna get that. I have videos where I have 4 million views and it's 99% positive comments, and then out of 6,000 comments, one guy goes, "I don't know what you people think. This is funny. This is retarded." And I'm like, if you have 6,000 people liking something and you don't. It's you. They're not all wrong.
And does that bother you at all?
No, I laugh at it.
You
I
laugh at it?
I
Oh,
say
that's
thank
cool,
you
yeah.
so much for your input. It's absolutely not you. It's the 6,000 people.
Because there's always going
Yeah.
to be a hater, and the more successful
100%.
you become, the more haters will come out there. And
Yeah.
I think once you plow through the
You gotta
haters,
laugh at it.
Yeah,
you
then
gotta
you
laugh
got
at it. You can't let any. I mean, listen, my whole family doubted me. My mother was playing both sides. She was like, "No, you should give up your job and do this." And then, she's talking to my wife. She's like, "You better not let him do this." So I mean, the doubts, the haters, you got to go through that. If you can't deal with that, then definitely you're not going to go into comedy.
And when you started doing this, did you know that you were tapping into a certain demographic? Did you know that you were tapping into this Italian market?
Yeah,
I were gonna.
Yeah, I
embrace you this way?
I went to I purposely, I looked for something that not everyone was doing. I didn't want to be mainstream. So I went with the Italian audience, and I did off the boat Italian. Like you brought up Sebastian. Sebastian's a great comedian. I'm a big fan of his, but he doesn't do the off the boat stuff. You have to really live through that to tell the stories properly. Because one thing with Italians, if you're not spot on authentic, they'll rip you a new one. But what I didn't expect was all the other nationalities to attach to it, and how how much they embrace me. I mean, they come to my shows and they're like, "Oh my God, I feel like you're part of my family."
Yeah.
One lady was
People
like,
love that kind of
she's
stuff.
she's like, "Oh, last Thursday night," she goes, "Oh my God, you cured my husband's depression." I go, "I don't think that's medically possible." I appreciate it, but I'm not. No, you can't cure depression.
You're not a doctor. You're not a doctor.
It's either he didn't have it,
Maybe you're a doctor. and you don't know.
yeah. But it's
Not
it's
that bad of a copay.
I didn't expect exactly. I should have got her insurance. But no, I didn't expect the outpour of the support and the approval. Not in. I mean, 14 months I've been doing it. No way. No way.
Yeah, I mean, for 14 months doing it, to break out the way you have,
Yeah.
and to tap in the way you have, and been like this powerhouse comedian. Like
Very few people have been able to do that. I think
Yeah.
50 Potato may be one of the others.
Yeah.
was able to use that, but very few people have been able to do that successfully. So that's great that you do that.
And
Thank
if you
you.
look into history, Jeffrey, have you seen like Freddie Prinze back in the day kind of tapped into a certain market and blew up?
No, you're talking about the original.
the original Freddie Prinze when he did
His
it.
manager was the one who got me started in comedy.
Oh, no way.
David Jonas, who only died a few years ago at 100 years old.
Wow.
I used to sit in his office, and he's the one who got Freddie Prinze, Chico, and the Man.
Yeah, and Freddie Prinze started in L.A. at the Punchline, right?
I believe so. I only know the New York clubs best.
Yeah.
In New York, it was only the Improv opened in '63, and then Catch a Rising Star opened at the end of '72, and the Comic Strip, which is my home club. That's the book. I did the book on the Comic Strip with Chris Rock,
Right.
and as a matter of fact, I launched my own podcast there today.
Very
Today,
good.
on the stage, from the stage, and my first guest was Richie Tinkin,
Oh, nice.
who managed Eddie Murphy for the first 11 years of his career.
And Eddie Murphy's another great example of comics that kind of just juggernauted out. So if you look at like Freddie Prinze, Eddie Murphy, even guys like that, when you see a comedian like what Anthony's doing, all of a sudden selling out shows, building a fan base, and coming out to the mainstream, kind of like what Maniscalco did too. All of a sudden, this guy comes out of nowhere and sells
out stadium.
Yeah, well,
Stadiums,
3 nights
yeah.
over at Madison Square Garden. It seems like he's on this road here. What do you think attributes to that kind of sensationalism?
They tap into the zeitgeist, to use a word. There's something about it. So I think Anthony said it before.
I'm going to thank you for that once I Google that
being relatable.
Unless it's an insult. Fuck you.
Zeitgeist, right.
Indubitably.
Call me later and let me know what you think about it. It's about being relatable. That so many people. It's not just about an Italian audience. So many
Right.
people of ethnic backgrounds love that because they had relatives who came off the boat from some other country,
Right.
and they understand what that's like. So it's being relatable.
Yeah.
And when people like you, and it's also about putting out good energy. When you come from a good place on stage, like all these people who want to be offended so easily, in your heart whether somebody's coming from a place of hatred or if they're coming from a good place.
Yeah, no one's making them
Human
happy.
beings know
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
You
they
just
can't.
know
It's
that
impossible.
intuitively.
Right.
So when a guy is relatable and he's coming up with stuff that's making other people laugh, which is the best energy that you can create, then he's going to become very popular.
Right.
And that's what's happening.
And he's so spot on with the relatable because I found out that you'll be so much more successful if you tap into that kind of that zone where you're relatable
Zeitgeist.
rather than funny. I'm not going to try to repeat it.
You could say, come on, Anthony, you could say zeitgeist.
He's going to lose like 5,000 followers if he says zeitgeist.
Right. Oh my God, he's German? I thought he was Italian.
This is bullshit.
But no, you're 100% right. If you're relatable, it's funnier when something relates to you. If it strikes close to home. So a lot of
Yeah.
people ask me, give me 3 things that make a successful comedian. I go, tell you the truth, at this point, I don't even know because it's taken on a form of its own at this point. But you got to have positive energy, great energy. Every time I watch a comedian, I watch his energy.
Right.
You're sitting there, you're like, yeah, so I drove into that.
Some people, as soon as they get on stage,
I'm
the
out.
energy's so low. I'm like, what are they doing?
Right, you should be a funeral
You got to
director.
come on with high energy.
But you got
High
a positive,
energy.
high energy. You gotta be relatable and you gotta be likable. Like I always say, if you're gonna come on stage, there was a guy that hosted for me a couple months back, and he came on stage and he just right off the bat jumped off with a pedophile joke.
Oh,
And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah.
And the problem
gotta
is,
lead up to that.
I can tell that because I don't look like a fucking pedophile. He looked like he might have kidnapped a kid back in the day. I'm like, no, you look like you have one in your basement. So he comes off stage and he goes, "How'd I do?" I go, "Dude, if you look like a pedophile, you can't do fucking pedophile jokes."
Yeah,
He
creeping
goes,
out
"I
the
look like
audience.
a pedophile?" I'm like, "Yeah, you do."
Take note, Andy. Take note.
Oh,
Wow.
Andy Plagenos with the pedophile.
You can't walk
vibe.
around with a mustache
I
like
with the
this.
80s
yeah.
porno mustache.
Just can't.
Yeah, I mean, I would do 80s porn, but you don't look like a pedophile.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
You should see.
He's
him now.
a
He's a social studies teacher, but I don't know.
wrestling coach.
he's like Robert
No,
Langdon.
that would be a pedophile.
yeah.
Wrestling coach just disguised pedophile. That's all the wrestling coaches
Get
out
down
there.
here with me, Dave.
Minus
Yeah.
500.
You look like a symbologist, like Robert Langdon from those books. He's with the
And
tweed
you look
jacket.
like you would have like a really authentic accent.
Well, thank you very much, Anthony.
That see, if you spoke like that off the bat, I wouldn't. I'd be like, all right, this guy's fucking weird. But that
The thing is, my people are Greek, so
That would-
you know all my
but see
cousins,
what I mean?
all my uncles.
is, the mustache makes
It
it.
works.
Yeah.
Sure, I get it.
I was convinced he was a vampire.
I'll give you 10 points for every round if you go through the whole fucking contest like that. Look, she's like, fuck you. That's hashtag me too.
In golf, don't we get like a handicap or something? Do I get that?
So
I get polio points.
Polio points.
I think they both have the likability factor,
Polio
right?
perk.
Absolutely.
Like when they both come up on stage, I would think both of you immediately have a likability factor to you. And if you really listen to what these guys are talking about, you could really hone in on a demographic or to kind of build a fan base with ahead of time, kind of.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm just really demented and I pick up on weird shit. I've never heard someone stutter on the word hone, and you just went, you gotta like, I really thought he touched you underneath the table. It's been a long week.
So
for
funny,
me. I
the
apologize.
stuttering is a
Wait
big
up,
part of, I
I'll
used to stutter very badly, and that's a big part of
And
my
you probably
vote.
never stuttered on the word hone.
Never. I don't think anyone ever did.
I wasn't sure.
I
The
don't
reason
think
I
anyone ever
stuttered.
noticed.
The reason I stuttered, just to explain to the folks at home, 'cause I wasn't sure if it was if I was saying the word correctly, like the right
But
definition.
that might be the word. You just literally
And that's
went,
so interesting because that's what causes stuttering. If you think you're going to make a mistake,
Right,
it's
yeah.
one of the causes. People are afraid to make a mistake, and
I
that
think we
makes
made
them
a lot of
stutter.
progress today, you guys.
Yeah.
he caught me off
Amazing.
guard. He was like, so when you really hon, and I'm like, holy shit.
you
You
got
just finish?
you got hone in on it. But there's a premise for you guys.
I laughed pretty hard at that.
Stuttering on the wrong words.
Stuttering
Words
on
not
the-
to stutter on. Round 3.
We are getting ready for the premise pressure round. Now, this round, you guys have a list of premises. On the list, we have premises that are for Andrew and one's for Dana. And then if they continue going, you can go into the pool of the random premises.
So
there.
they have to choose one of these premises?
Well,
Or
we're going to
they-
throw them premises. So they're basically judged off of the jokes they come up with each premise and how many premises that they can get through. And then also, how the humor was. So this is, to me, is the hardest of all the rounds we do. So Andrew started the last one, so now this one, Dana.
Yikes.
Are you prepared for the premise pressure?
Sure.
So we shoot the premises at them?
Yes.
Now you have me stuttering.
See,
I'll get you a
another
copy of my
bad
book.
we first before we get started
It's
with
like
this,
a goat.
Benny, tell them what's going on.
Hey, Don, I'm going to tell you all what's going on.
All right.
When performing stand-up comedy, I threw that stuttering thing in there. Comedians should know how to handle hecklers and be able to roast a person at, that's the wrong one.
Premise
All right.
pressure.
Premise pressure. All right, I'm feeling it. Comedy can certainly throw a lot of curveballs, and sometimes you have to think quick on your feet. So round 2, premise pressure, we will see how fast these comedians are with a variety of comedy premises. Each comedian will be given a variety of comedy premises and must fire off a hilarious punchline with each premise they receive. They will have 2 minutes on the clock.
All right, so we're setting
Now,
up.
just explain to me, what do you mean by generic? What
Oh,
are
these
What
are like
all
the
these?
random ones. So these are ones that were pulled from their comedy sets already. So these, and then these are,
So these are ones that they're familiar with.
yes, and these are all random.
Random.
Yes.
And we're supposed to call these out to them?
Yeah, so
I can pick anyone on the sheet.
you can pick anything on the sheet. Some are specific for Andrew, some are specific for Dana.
Right.
Pacific for Dana.
And then
Atlantic
and then the
for
generic
Andrew.
ones if we keep rocking and rolling.
All right, so
We
if she
got-
gets through her specific ones, then I can start shouting out the random ones.
Yeah, and you could even just go random. There's no rules for you guys. You could do whatever you want.
All right.
Wait, if I do an accent, do I get extra?
Well, let's hear one
we
real quick.
establish this?
What accents do you got?
Well, you can't. You
do
can't
French?
get.
Your mustache.
You can't get accent points on top of polio points.
Do I get polio points?
They actually counteract
you can't
each other.
combine
Yeah.
the point.
They
They,
cancel each other out.
they negate each other.
All right, so I'll stick with polio points then.
All right, so we'll start with Anthony and then Jeffrey, and then we'll just go back and forth with the premises. And are you ready, Dana?
Sure.
And here we go, and premise time.
My sex life.
Thank God for my polio because my sex life is tremendous because every guy who I meet has a cripple fetish and I'm extra flexible. Zing. Waka waka.
All right, Jeffrey.
Okay, for Anthony.
No, it's still Dana.
Oh,
Yeah,
still Dana.
all
Okay.
Dana.
Cure for polio.
I hear if you get vaccinated twice, it counteracts. So I got it from the vaccine. I should premise with that. So yeah, that bombed. Wow,
Try again.
I'm panicking.
And
Can you say it again?
cure for polio. Come up with something else.
I heard people with autism don't get polio. Is that true?
You're asking him?
I'm asking.
As
yeah,
if he's
someone.
autistic? Okay.
That's why he's gonna win.
Rehab.
See, when I went to rehab, they asked me if I was in the right one because I don't look like a drug addict, but definitely am. That was bad too. I use my handicap too often to go get opiates from the doctors, and they sent me to rehab where I was able to get more. This is terrible. I'm sorry. I shouldn't announce that.
Addicted to porn.
That's why I went to rehab. My addiction to porn. I'm not addicted to porn. I was able to write all my jokes pretty well because Andy was busy because he's addicted to porn.
Death row groupies.
Death row groupies are truly the luckiest. Like, they're the smartest people, and I'll tell you why. Because they always know where the man is every night. They get handwritten love letters, and I don't know when the last time I got one is. And they don't have to worry about, like, him finding out that you're banging somebody else. And you only have to go do that to him, like, once every conjugal visit. Zing.
Homeless people.
Met a lot of homeless people in rehab.
And time. Very good. Dana McAllister,
Fail.
2 minutes of premise pressure. It's not easy. I think it's probably one of the hardest ones. Dana, how you feeling right now? You feel
Yikes.
relief after having that over?
I feel disappointed that I made my anxiety so known. I really shouldn't have announced that I bombed after.
Yeah,
every
that's the
single
only thing I
one.
think you should always, even if you know it's not good, just
It's
deliver
redundant
with
'cause it's on my
confidence.
face.
But have confidence, because once you say to the audience, "Oh, that was awful. I bombed. That sucked. That
Yeah.
one was," then they're gonna buy into that and agree with you. Yeah, you do suck. And
I'm
then
sure the comments say that.
no, the comment, they love you. I'm sure they do. The comments, keep them rolling in, everybody.
Yeah, one great thing. One thing that you'll learn doing comedy is you'll hit a point where you'll say something and you expect a laugh and you don't get it, and you get that sweat that trickles down your spine and creeps into the crack of your ass. When you get that, the best thing to do is transition right into something else.
Right.
If you don't feel the energy coming back, go
Yeah.
right into something else.
And
like it
always
never
carry a
happened.
tissue to wipe that up, right?
I just tuck one in the back of my pants.
See, I just get it in the cleavage.
So it's
A man pond. A man pond.
And then what's interesting is when you get a laugh on a line that you didn't expect
Correct.
to get it on, and
That's
then,
right.
and they're it's hilarious.
Well,
to them, and you're like,
I
"How
do
the fuck did-"
I did something
know.
Wednesday, and a lot of comics call it comedic suicide. Usually, you want to try new stuff. You go to like an open mic or whatever. I do it at sold out shows. So if I bomb, I bomb, and if it works, it's amazing because I know that joke was fresh and it's that night. And just like you said, I tried something new, and they laughed more than I expected. Where I was like brought back, and I was like, "What is this fucking crowd high?" I'm like, "That wasn't even the punchline yet. Can I get
Right.
through the joke?" So yeah, it works both ways. But just to know, just transition into the next thing, and don't ever say you bombed, because like he said, now you're putting that into the audience's head. Now you have to build them back up because you just gave them your
Yeah.
opinion on yourself, which wasn't a good one.
So what would you give her a score on her premise pressure?
I'm gonna go 7. I mean, that's tough.
7
Listen,
from Anthony.
I'm putting myself in
Rodriguez.
your shoes. It's tough to have people staring at you, not an audience, no feedback, and to keep going one after the other. I mean, it's nerve-wracking. The funny thing, I don't like public speaking, and I love doing comedy. I swear to God, I don't like. You get me to public speak.
People's greatest fear is public speaking.
Yeah, and this is I would rather get on stage and do what you guys are doing right now, because we're a horrible panel of judges.
No, you guys are doing great, man.
And what's Sally's son's name again?
Sam.
So he scared the shit out of me, and I'm not even in the contest. My mic was blocking me, and I'm not good at charades. He was like, I'm like, fuck, what are you, landing a plane? What the fuck are you doing? I was like, oh my God. He's like,
Landing a plane.
I'm like, all right. He's like,
But he's got like a strong mind because
Yeah.
you did what he wanted you to do.
I know. And after he did it, I was like,
Are we seeing
I'm like,
everyone's
one of
faces?
I was like, did I hear him in my mind?
Are we seeing all
fucking
3
Jedi.
judges' faces?
Like, he just called me an asshole without saying it.
He just pierced his eyes a little bit like that. And just,
Sally, talk to your son, please.
Jeffrey Gurian, what do you think about Dana's jokes?
Okay, I got to say something first. Whenever I'm a judge in any kind of a contest, I always have to give people props because this is an amazing thing. It's a very hard. It's the hardest thing in the world to get up and not even get up, just trying to do jokes. Were they allowed to have notes for this? Could they have had notes?
It's
if they
hard for
wanted
the
to?
premise pressure to have notes. They could have
Yeah.
notes for their other stuff when they do the roast battles and things like that. They normally
No, I
have
was just
notes.
wondering if there was a rule in that because there are so many premises here, and to call that out, it's one of the hardest things to do. Paul Provenza has a show like that, stand-up improv, where they just call out a premise, but people have years and years of experience. You guys are basically new, so for you to even try this is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So
Give it up for them, man. These
Yeah,
guys
I mean,
are rocking
really,
it today.
really, I
They're
mean,
doing
this
a
is
great
cool.
job.
it's a very difficult thing. A lot of experienced comics would not
She
subject
actually made it.
themselves
She was
to
like,
this.
that clap wasn't for you, asshole.
She said it in a really nice way.
Sit back.
Nice not breaking my fragile white ego, male ego. That was a good job.
A lot of experienced comics would not even subject themselves to this. So I'm going to give her a 6.
Yes, a 6 for Dana McAllister. All right, Andrew. Now you kind of seeing how the judges are operating here. Does that put any extra pressure, or are you like, okay, cool, I'm in the pocket?
No, I'm still scared shitless. I do have the same note that I had given myself the last time, which is good fucking luck, pal. When in doubt, make it about your penis, someone else's penis, or any vagina.
All right, very good. So that's his.
So that's my notes.
He
For
has a game
you were
plan.
asking about the notes.
He was kind enough to share that with me beforehand.
Oh,
too.
and not one
I was
penis
going
joke.
I let him have it.
That's why I asked, because I see he has papers, and she
Yeah.
did it with no papers at all, which is like almost impossible.
Well, that's-
They're going to come up with all these
Yeah.
random topics
I've-
and
it's
not
closed.
refer to anything. It's unbelievable.
Don't even try to be like me. Use your little papers. It's okay. Use them.
Next, he's going to say he has polio.
I got a polio. Oh no, I just double booked my points. Damn it.
I cancel out.
Yeah, you have none now.
All right, Andrew. Here we go. This time we'll start with Jeffrey and go back and forth. We got 2 minutes on the clock and premise time.
Okay, Andrew, being fat.
Being fat, the universe likes to remind me about how fat I'm getting every time my office chair stutters, drops me to the ground.
Mother's inspirational memes.
My mother posts inspirational memes, and the most recent one was kind of bothered me because it said, when a spouse loses a spouse, we call it that a widow, and when a child loses a parent, they call it an orphan, but we don't have a word for when parents lose a child, and as a parent, I call that a night off.
Are you really a parent?
I am.
Are you? Just hope that God didn't hear you. Pray on that. Okay. It's my turn?
Yes.
Parent, I got lost in that.
No, you're-
Parents and fairy tales.
Oh, so you ever notice that in like movies or fairy tales, really good parents die when they're young, and terrible parents are alive forever. So it's like this tightrope act of how long we keep our kids locked in the closet every day.
Now I see why you do Dracula. You're obsessed with death.
Dark.
Disney princess.
Disney princess. Well, my one of my daughters, her favorite Disney princess is Mulan. And yes, what you're thinking is right. Mulan is the Scientology of Disney princesses.
Okay.
What you're thinking is right.
Let me see. Social media.
Social media. Like my instincts want me to be like, if I see one more picture of somebody's kids or their food, but then I realize I'm actually just talking about myself.
Vegans.
Vegans. I wish I could be a vegan. I just don't know that many people to tell about it.
Time! Very good.
That one was good.
Nice. Very good. Andrew Plajanos with his.
I hate that.
Andrew, you can do a big relief now. Not one dick joke, not one vagina joke.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have to resort to your go-tos.
They all stayed in here.
He just did dead children joke, which is a very small niche. Very few comics were willing to approach that.
I'm locking down that niche market.
that's
of
your.
the
That's
dead
gonna be
baby
your
fans.
angle.
Children's market, yeah.
There you go. So, Anthony, what do you think of?
I'm gonna
Andrew's?
give him an 8.
An 8. Very good. An 8.
It was quick. If my wife's watching this, we have a newborn son and a 4-year-old.
Yes,
And
congratulations.
thank you, but
Congratulations.
you related to me with the night off. So I'm going to hell with you. But very relatable to me anyway. But it was quick. It was relatable. It was to the point.
Very good.
Dead kids, super lit.
And Jeffrey, what did you think
People
about
love dead
Andrew?
kids, man. Fucking-
I thought it was very edgy, to be honest with you. It's like you have to be careful what you joke about. I like the fact that they were quick too. They were more like jokes,
Yeah.
you know, which is the concept here is to come up with jokes. So I'll give you a 7 on that.
A 7 from Jeffrey Gurian, folks.
Yeah.
Very nicely done. So it is a hard. This is a hard round. It's very hard when people throwing premises at you. You have to come up with jokes and I just Jeffrey, you've been around for a while in the comedy scene. You've seen it all. Do you think that comedy competitions like this are good for comedians' development, or are they? What do you feel about comedy competitions in general? I guess.
Well, I think it's good if people, and I don't know how they did this, if you give them time to prepare. I would have liked to see people come in with jokes on paper and say, I wrote this about these things, and really deliver them like they would do on stage. To me, that's a competition. Like, I don't think that you would really do any of these jokes that you're telling us in your act on stage. Right. I would have liked to see. I would have liked, unless you're into being beaten by the audience. If you're into being beaten by the audience, maybe. But you know, I that's my personal thing. That joke writing is a real craft. It's a very difficult thing to do, and it takes not while you're sitting in the car before you go into the place. It takes weeks. If you know that you're going to be in a competition, then you really prepare for it. That's
Unless
my
you're me,
personal
and then you do it
feeling.
in the car
No,
on
and
outside.
so I would have liked to see what you guys would have come up with if you wrote jokes on paper that you could deliver as if you were doing your act, which I understand that you're going to be doing at the end when
Yep.
you do stand-up.
Their best 5-minute
Yeah,
sets.
but you get what I'm saying?
No, I think I
so
agree.
In terms of competition, it's very subjective. Comedy in general is very subjective. What other people are hysterical at, other people are humming.
Like dead kids
You know?
type
They
of
don't- yeah, exactly.
Dead kids
There's
are always
a-
funny
there's
to
a niche.
everybody.
I agree, Jeffrey.
It's
That's
a very difficult field. That's why it's the hardest thing in the world to do, except for brain surgery, probably.
Right.
It's probably a little
Or dentistry.
harder. Or dentistry.
Yes.
That's a difficult thing as well.
And Anthony, you've been around. Like you were doing comedy earlier on in your career.
Yeah, like
Then you-
15 years ago.
Yeah.
Not to this level.
Right
Not
now,
to
all of a
those
sudden,
lines.
you come out and back in the earlier time, would you have ever, or have you ever been part of a comedy competition, or was it
Yeah.
something that you? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it was a competition at Joker's Wild in New Haven. It was 3 judges. They picked their 3 captains. They picked their teams. 6 people. We started out with 8 people on each team, so 24 comics, and I think it went on 6 weeks. And there was a panel of judges, and you started out with a 3-minute set, 5-minute set, 8-minute set, and then a 15-minute set at the
Nice.
finals. Yeah.
And do you feel like that helped you as a comedian grow? Or was it more? Was it?
Yes, and I mean comedy should never be. You should never be in competition with another comedian. And what I've dealt with, you know, kind of doing it the way I've done it. You know, people call me, oh, he's a leapfrog. He kind of leapfrogged the whole process of grinding out all the open mics. He started out as a headliner. I'm like, whatever path you take, I have all the respect for the old school comics. Like I grew up on Robin Williams, George Carlin, Richard Pryor. I mean, they grinded it out because there was no other outlet. Now you have social media. If you platform yourself correctly, you can get out to millions of people in an instant. But when it comes to competition, the mentality that I can't stomach these days is, if I'm successful and you're successful, well, your success is going to fuck up my success. Now, you could both be successful.
There's plenty of room.
Yeah,
So-
there's an abundance. in the
Yeah,
universe.
there's
plenty
not
to
just
go
one
around.
comic. So the competition aspect, I liked it because, you know, you kind of saw how other comics work, how they construct their jokes. You know, I mean, you should always be original. I can't stomach when I hear somebody stealing a joke.
Yeah.
But you can also get kind of styles and the way they create their jokes. You can kind of, you know, get that from it. But I mean, listen, I'm a competitive person, but with myself. So competition's good for me because I compete with myself on it. Like I always try to be funnier. You know, I watch all my sets and I'm like, well, how can I be funnier tomorrow than I was yesterday? So if you take competition the right way, yeah, it could always be good. It's just, but you should never be in competition with another comedian.
Right, yeah, there's healthy competition, there's negative competition.
Correct,
And healthy
yeah.
competition makes you grow and helps you evolve and get to your best potential. But negative competition is when you want to, like, you know, be like, what's that guy who hit the girl
Well-
in the leg with the, you know, the ice?
Oh, Nancy Carey.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
They
was my
resented
plan
Dane
B.
Cook too when he first started because he got a lot of social media.
Right.
Very similar to him, yeah.
But he wound up proving himself because he's funny. So
Well,
if you're
and
funny,
that's
if you sustain,
and I
that's what
like
counts.
the doubt. Like if somebody doubts or you know hates on what I'm doing, I take it as, it's all how you take it. I take it as fuel. So it's like, yes, I admit there's a lot of Instagram and Facebook and social media guys out there. Everyone wants to call themselves a comedian. To make that transition from Instagram to stage, you have to know what you're doing. You have to be. You're born to be a comedian. You either have it in you or you don't have it in you.
Exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, I got shit for it. But now when these other comedians come see my show and they're like, all right, this fucking guy's legit. I mean, you can't make a room
Right.
laugh just because you're on social media.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And you're not doing
Yeah, it
that
doesn't
stuff.
translate.
No,
It definitely doesn't
no.
translate.
And he's not doing that stuff on stage.
None of it.
He's
I
doing
write.
his own act.
So I write
Right.
two aspects of jokes. I write sketch comedy and I write stand-up comedy. I never mix the two. There's times I don't even mention my characters because to me, if you're gonna watch me at home, why should you pay to watch that on stage? You should come to pay for something that you don't see at home.
Yeah,
Or-
and also it changes the energy of what's
Yeah.
on stage. If you suddenly break out into a sketch,
Right.
it takes away the energy.
Well, it's
from the
then it's like a
stand-up once the people
variety
are
show,
laughing.
and I don't want.
exactly.
And the real reason for my characters, and it goes back to my competitiveness with myself. Those characters were created because it was a way for me to always have to be funnier than my sketches. So if I'm not funnier than my social media sketches, then I'm wasting your money when you come out. So it keeps me on my toes.
So there you are competing with yourself.
yeah,
and
all
you-
the time.
Yeah.
It's a disorder.
And the amount of stuff that you write is incredible. Like your YouTube page, you update constantly in the character of Uncle Vinny. So
Yeah.
you're always writing the wheel.
I'm writing when I'm on the plane. I'm writing when I'm voice notes in my phone. When I went to go see, I work with Roger Paul. And when I went to his
Roger for
office,
years,
I walked in his office, and he's on the phone, and I'll never forget this. He goes, "You're a comedian?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "How much material you got?" I go, 14 hours. And he goes, "What?" I go, 14 hours. He goes, "I'll call you back." And right now, if you add up my sketch comedy versus my stand-up, I probably have like 28 hours of material. I have 14 hours I've never even touched yet.
Wow.
So I'm just, every day I'm writing. I see something, I write it.
And that's what happened to me because I didn't perform for many years. I was writing for so many years,
Right.
but I didn't have the courage to go on stage because if you start in your 20s, nobody knows you. You have the freedom to bomb, and that's how
Right.
you get better. But by
Yeah.
the time I got the courage to go on stage, I had written for so many well-known people. There was a lot of pressure on me.
Right.
And it took me a long time to.
Oh, yeah,
actually-
because writing and delivering is two totally different
two
monsters.
completely different.
I know
things.
great writers that are horrible comedians, and I know great comedians that can't write.
But I wound
You know?
up with folders of material. I have hours also.
Yeah.
Hours of material that I haven't even developed yet. Premises, because I keep envelopes. And
Right.
every time
Wow.
I think of something, I put it on a slip of paper or I say it into a recorder.
Right.
I've been collecting premises for years.
When you're writing for a different voice, when you're writing for, Milton Berle or the plethora
Which is
of
hard to do because
yeah, he's gone now.
he's
yeah.
passed away.
But,
right.
but back when
yeah.
when you're writing for other comedians,
When you write for dead people, how hard is it?
when you
Especially
write for
dead
George
children.
Wallace.
Are you ever
clothed
Yeah,
when
dead
you do
children.
that?
Have you written for dead children? No, when you write jokes for other people, other voices, how how do you approach that?
If I can't see them in person, then I work from a tape. Like Rodney I was one of the few people that he ever let tape his act. We'd sit in the club together, and I would work from it because you have to think in that person's voice. You can't just write jokes. Theoretically, no comedian should be able to do your jokes. They should be that personal. It comes from you. So in order to be a successful comedy writer for somebody, you have to think in their mind.
Right.
You have to think in their voice. You could hear them saying it. So when I worked for Joan Rivers, I would go with her to places. I would sit with her in her apartment. I would soak it in. And that's one of the gifts. Like a songwriter has a gift. I'm able to write in a person's voice. If I think they're funny and I listen to them, I can write jokes that fit their personality.
Cool. So, like, when you're on the plane or the car or the shower, wherever ideas come to you, and you get a joke, do you say, "Oh, that joke's perfect for
I've
Joan"?
jumped out of the shower to write shit down. Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
if you don't write it down, you're going to forget.
Oh, my wife
forget it.
hates- I wake up at I wake up at like 3:00 in the morning
Yeah,
with an idea, and I'll
sometimes
run right into
right,
the
you got to
basement.
get out of
Yeah.
bed because you
Yeah.
think you'll remember it in the morning.
No,
but you won't.
I have no
You
shot
can't,
in
you
hell
can't
of
take a
remembering it.
chance. So I'm always writing notes and things like that, you know. And yeah, and if I have an assignment to write for a particular comedian, I prefer to sit and watch their shows. And if they let me tape it, yes, because I need to listen to it. Like a person who does impressions, they listen to the voice
Right.
until they internalize it.
So you
That's
gotta
what
get
I
their
do.
rhythms down, their
Yeah,
manner, their
exactly.
their,
That's my process.
their style. That's pretty interesting stuff, man. We only have Anthony here for another 15 minutes or so. So I do want to. Well, we have a word from our sponsor, but we're going to get to that at 8:15. So right now we're going to go right into the Gagoots, and this is our roasting challenge. So this is another hard challenge where we have a roast battle going on here versus our own Gagoots. Alfredo Gagoots is coming in here, so we'll go. Andrew goes first, so we'll ask Dana to. You could move over into the other room there.
So they roast each other?
The Gagoots will roast each contestant one by one, and they have
Wow.
3 minutes on the clock. And I will read the instructions for that. Are you ready, Sam?
I'm going to be cooking with sauce now.
Is his mustache secure?
He's
got it on.
About as secure as
Not
his
That would
sexuality.
be funny though
Not
if,
Andrew.
if his stayed on and Andrew's fell off.
That would be great.
Hey,
right, let me-
Anthony, you don't find me offensive yet?
Offensive? No.
Yeah.
why?
Oh, no, before.
The only thing that's offensive is the way you're dressed. I'm expecting you to bring out food and you haven't yet. That's the only thing that's offensive.
I got to stuff in the. And you were talking before. I just want to say you were talking about, and I agree. I know like people they steal the jokes.
Right.
But some of my jokes that fell off a truck. I just want you to know. I pay it. They fell off
Let me
a
explain to
truck.
everybody what's going on. Are you ready, Sam? Let's go to the graphic, and let's do it. When performing stand-up comedy, comedians should know how to handle hecklers and be able to roast a person at the drop of a dime. So this round, these comedians will have to face off and trade insults with our very own Gagoots for 3 minutes. This will test each comedian's roasting skills and sharp comedic comebacks. All right, Andrew Plajanos, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Have you done a lot of research on the Gagoots this time around?
Well, I was a real deep dive the last time. This time I'm just going to be mean.
Oh, wow. Here we go. I'm ready for this. This is going to be 3 minutes on the clock. And let's roast.
You want to go?
No, go ahead. You go first. Ladies
before
first.
beauty.
Ladies
Before
first. Okay. You look like a mentally challenged Mr. Potato Head.
Oh, see, I'm glad you said that because we see every week you say something about Mr. Potato Head. We get it. You like to fuck potatoes.
You put it in front of your pants at the beach. You got a lot of girlfriends. Trust me. You should be sued for plagiarizing Gene Shalit's face.
Hey, did you guys hear the Gagoots is actually going to be James Bond again in the second Italian James Bond movie? It's called Rondella a Sfera, or an Italian ball washer.
Oh, yeah, that's so nice. You know what my family used to do in the older country. If there was a hole of a morons, your statue would be at the main entrance.
So let's, you know what? Let's give it up to the Gagoots. Every week he's got to come up with new, fresh insults for everybody. And with that in mind, would it kill you to take a fucking shower?
Oh, I got a joke about it smells. I just stepped into something that was smarter than you and even smelled nicer.
Well, it's funny that you say that because the last time I thought that you had teased up your pubic hair to make that mustache, but I just realized it's actually your ass hair.
Oh, okay. Now it's my turn to give you a compliment. Have you ever considered going partners with a ventriloquist? Because you are a perfect dummy.
You notice the Gagoots always has the pizza box, right? and I don't want to give up too much to the people at home, but it's filled with like the left ear of squirrels or chipmunks or something like that. You sick bastard.
No, it's got a couple of dead children, though.
Oh,
Sorry. If you were a real vampire, you would just suck the excitement out of people.
So, did you guys know that the Gagoots has a cooking
Count
school?
the nerdula, I call you.
We did that last time, yeah. Gagoots has a cooking school, and he modeled it after the Catholic Church. No, he doesn't have sex with boys there. He does that with his free time.
wow.
For you, my mustaches are coming off again. For you, DNA stands for dumb, numb, a-hole.
Oh,
So, excuse me, I'm going to speak to the Gagoots in Italian Sign Language, so you'll have to excuse me. I told him to go fuck himself.
You should have been born in the Dark Ages because you look terrible in the light.
Did you guys know the Gagoots is from a real rough area of Italy? You may have heard it. It's called the Spaghetto.
Oh, hey, yeah, I'm going to steal that one. You know, your initials are A and P because you are like a supermarket of hacker jokes.
time! 3 minutes. Wow. Andrew Plagenos coming out strong against the Gagoots. The Gagoots firing back with his brand of Italiano insults. And
I speak a fluent broken English.
how is his accent compares to the real...
Fucking horrendous.
Hey, come on.
I'm so glad my father's not watching right now.
Yeah, we'll tell you.
Kill himself.
My father would try to pronounce imposter.
Imposter. Impossible. My mama
Is
came
that a
over.
kind of pasta?
Yeah, it could be.
Pasta.
Fake pasta, yeah.
Anthony, my mama came off of the boat. Yeah, she came. We actually smuggled
Your
her.
mustache is coming off your lip. You're like on the verge of eating it.
I mean, you're making me hungry, man.
On a bunch of different levels.
Anyway, yeah, my mama was smuggled here. We had to bring her over in an olive oil can with a couple of holes on the top. She flowed all the way from Sicily. All right. I'm sorry, I wasted time.
No, it's all good.
I'm sorry.
Jeffrey,
That's
what do you think of Andrew Plagenos? What do you score you give him?
Well, I got to ask a question. How long are you performing? I know that she's pretty new. How long have you been?
About 2.5 years.
Oh, so
at this
much
point.
longer than her,
Yes.
than Dana. Okay.
I'm also older.
You should have said 3 months, dude. Should have said
I like
3 months.
I like spaghetto. I should say, I wrote for the Friars Roast for 12 years. I was the main writer, so I'm very critical about roast jokes. You're the only guy I saw who used notes and still fucked up the jokes. From notes, that's what I was asking. Are they allowed to use notes?
Yes, they are.
And by the way, miming does not work on the radio. Just so you know.
Well, most people aren't listening
Yeah,
to
we
this
have
on the
a
radio.
fa-
It's
yeah,
They're
almost
watching it?
everybody
Oh,
is
yeah, we
watching.
have-
Oh,
Yeah.
thank goodness. Thank
Facebook
goodness
Live,
for that.
and we're gonna get read off some comments in a little bit.
Okay, well, for effort, I'm going to give you a 6.
A 6 from Andrew Plagenos from Jeffrey Gurian. Very nice. And Andrew,
I enjoy roasting people. Did it all through high school. I'm gonna give you a 6 only because I didn't think you got vicious enough. When you roast people, you have to literally hit them with something where it takes them a while to come back at you
To get over it.
Yeah.
Well, I did not get to. I was trying to time it. I had the one last one that was really.
Oh,
like
I
the
would have
knockout punch.
I would have came out of the gate with
Damn.
one. You just make him feel bad.
These
You
days,
could have written like 6 minutes on a fucking mustache. The whole, you could have just went in on the mustache. It looks like a compilement of vagina hair
That's what I said.
and like Elmer's glue.
this
I
is the
can't
second
look directly at it. I can't look directly at it. I really can't. I might not go near my wife if I look directly.
This is also the second time we're doing this. This is the second time
you
we're
could
doing
have just
this.
went in, like underneath his nose, it's like a fucking armpit. It's just, I can't look directly. No, you could. So when you roast somebody, I mean, like I got hired for a roast for a guy's birthday party, and the guy came up to me afterwards. He's like, "Dude, if you didn't get hired, I would have punched you in your face." And I'm like, "Thank you. That's you want to just go at their jugular. I mean,
Right,
especially if you were at the Friars Club. Man, Friars Club roast.
right.
I
Those
mean,
guys
listen
were
to
harsh.
Yeah.
I was the main writer for 12 years. But I'll tell you something different. Roast battles these days are brutal.
Yes.
They're
Right.
vicious.
Yeah.
The roasts weren't like
No,
that.
years ago they
I
weren't.
used to go up to the people being honored, and these were big stars, and I'd say, is there anything off limits to you that
Right.
would hurt your feelings
Right.
if we said, because my intention was never to hurt their feelings. If they
Right.
said go for it,
Right.
then
Right,
we would
right.
write about anything.
Correct.
But
Right.
these days they're writing about if your parents have cancer, they make a joke about
No,
it.
no,
If your brother or
right.
sister
Right, right.
died,
It goes, yeah. It
if
goes
your
a
brother or
little-
sister died, they make a joke. To me, that's horrible.
No,
Well,
that's
the
brutal.
I don't
issue
wanna
now
do
is
that.
a lot of comics out there. Like with me, everyone says, "Well, how do you do comedy in such a sensitive time?" And I always tell them, "I'll never tiptoe around comedy. If you don't enjoy my comedy, don't watch it. You have a choice." But the problem is, people try to hit that shock factor. You can hit a shock factor, but make sure it's fucking funny.
Funny,
Don't just
exactly,
you
yeah.
can't just be shock.
Yeah,
There's
right.
no
Right,
humor.
a lot of people
Because then it's
just
just an
wanna say the
insult.
most
It's not a roast.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people just want to say the most horrible thing they could
Yeah.
think of. And it really has an effect on people. You can laugh it off. I spoke to one of the comedians who lost a sibling to suicide, and they made fun of it. And I said, how do you handle that? And she said, it bothered me for quite a while.
Yeah.
But eventually I got over it.
Right.
I don't think that's part of comedy. I don't think
No.
that's necessary
I never
to do
liked
stuff like that.
mean-spirited
Comedy,
comedy.
you're supposed to
what's
make.
Yeah, mean-spirited comedy
Yeah,
is a thing
no.
these days.
Yeah, yeah, I
I
never-
don't believe in it.
Yeah,
Comedy
It's
to me
necessary.
is supposed to be an escape from something. So
Right,
if
right.
you can make something dramatic or traumatic into comedy, you don't do it the reverse. You
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
You know, yeah. But you should have been meaner to his mustache.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, now I hope Dana McAllister was listening to those notes and that she's ready to go toe to toe with the Stash himself.
The Stash. That's a fucking name. Call him the Stash.
Alfredo the Stash, the Gugoots.
Yeah,
That's what they
yes.
Mario-
used to call me that in the older
Dana.
country.
Are you using your phone for
No.
notes? You're
No.
just doing it off the top of your head?
Yes.
You're a brave
Oh,
woman.
Dana's going off the dome for 3 minutes versus the Gagoots in a roast battle. Are you ready, Dana? Are you ready to rock and roll?
Yeah.
Have you been preparing for this?
Yeah, I mean, I know last time my roasts weren't really roasts so much as comebacks, so I hope your feelings won't get hurt too much.
Oh,
All right.
I was feeling bad that I'm going to have to insult FDR's great granddaughter with a polio. I'm a little nervous about this. I thought maybe after the show I'll go to an orphanage and yell, "Hey, who's your daddy?"
Did we start already?
You ready?
You got me all nervous with the crippled girl, and then the crippled girl's like, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'm going to
Benny's
stick
on
my
fire.
cane
He's
up your
fired.
ass.
That is the most ableist bullshit.
He is fired up right now. The Gagoots is on. All right, are you ready?
Okay.
We're gonna
I
go.
just thought his mustache fell off again. It was the fucking mic. I can't stare directly at it. I don't know what's wrong.
To just glance at it. Glancing over.
I can't look
Next
at
time,
it.
if you ever do the show
Offensive.
again, I grow my own mustache.
Oh, not like
Just
that
for
though.
you.
I feel like going home and playing Mario Brothers.
Here we go,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready,
Who
Dana?
goes first, me? Or
Ladies are first.
Ladies go first and roast.
I don't know what's faker, your mustache or your wife's orgasms.
Oh!
You rented a house that was haunted, and the ghost complained to the landlord about you.
I thought Italians were hung like stallions, but that pizza box is kind of tiny and it's covering everything.
Only a poor cook blames his utensils. Anyway, no, I want to tell you, the last time you were on, you were talking about how you know like midgets,
I don't like
right? You know like midgets.
They're
you know,
scary.
You know what? I heard of the hobbits want to throw you in the fires of Mordor. Midgets got you a picture. They use it for target practice.
Can they reach it? No. So I'm assuming you use Dr. Scholl's. Do you need somebody for prescription implants? Because I have some for your shoes.
You look like you got a lot of implants.
Dude, thank you. All natural, unlike your mustache.
Natural implant, yeah. Go tell the Kardashian that one. They're laughing their ass off. Their implanted ass. You're so dumb that your dog teaches you tricks. Your culinary skills are so bad that Betty Crocker gave you her seal of disapproval. Your dog would rather eat his own poop than your leftovers.
You look like that gym teacher I had in middle school that I couldn't quite tell if it was a female or a male, but they were still really good at track nonetheless. Your mustache is falling off, bro. fix that.
Oh man,
How,
I gotta use the glue.
I know that you said you were gonna grow one again, but like, can you do that at your
I
age?
was gonna do what?
Can you grow your own mustache?
I can grow quite a few things in my age. You'll be surprised.
All you need is a little blue pill, right?
Let me tell you something, little gimpy. Roses are red, violets are blue. I have 5 fingers. The middle one is for you.
Fuck.
I can say nice things about you.
I'm hung up on Little Gimpy. That was fucking great. Like, I'm gonna Dana Little Gimpy McAllister.
I can say nice things about you, Dana, but I'd rather tell her the truth.
Oh.
Oh, Gagoots. I don't know.
Dana, do you hear that? It's the sound that nobody gives a shit.
Gagoots, are those prescription lenses, or are they as fake as your accent?
Oh.
Your mustache is falling off again, guy.
Are you always this stupid, or are you making a special effort today?
Your jokes are so bad, your mustache ran away.
Oh, yeah, I like that one. I give her a point for that.
Put it back quick.
10 seconds.
Oh, there goes. I was going to give this girl a mustache ride for free later, but I needed the glue. I think she got the glue.
Last one, Dana.
Oh, I don't need a mustache ride because I have my own. Oh, no.
And time.
Your crotch is a condo for fruit flies.
Yeah, it is.
I like that one. I use it every week.
I use it every week.
Wow, that was a fun one. That was crazy. He did get a little meaner on that one.
I do my best.
Yeah.
Well, because Anthony was saying, you should come out fighting, swinging.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, the little
Fucking
gimpy.
tips were for the contestants.
Little Gimpy.
I was afraid. I was afraid of this girl.
Greg Goots is taking the notes from
I was
the
afraid.
judges.
Yeah. You had me. I was a scondado. I was a scondado. I thought, here I am. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to treat this girl like she's a little Bo Peep with a sheep. And then I figured, little Bo Peep has a cane too. Maybe little Bo Peep got a polio.
Oh,
Who knows?
I highly doubt it. I'm one in like 19 million. It's
So,
terrific.
Anthony, what do you think about this particular roast battle? How did Dana do?
I'm gonna give you a 6 only because he took my advice and it worked. I mean, he went with the gimpy fucking. I mean, but he did exactly what I said you do in a roast. He hit you with it, and you were like, "Did this motherfucker just call me gimpy?"
He just called me gimpy.
But you kept. I mean, you kept coming back at him. I mean, but he's got no heart.
I know.
And no lip hair. Yeah, I give you a 6. You came out the gate with a couple good ones, but when he hit you with the gimpy thing, I mean, holy
Shook you up a
It was
little.
funny. No, I liked
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
At first, I
Yeah.
thought he called me Guppy, and then I realized that didn't make sense.
Well, you lost it in his authentic accent.
Yeah. Little Gimpy. Oh.
Jeffrey, how do you think they did?
Not one joke about Jonas Salk. Are you kidding? Do you know who Jonas Salk was? He invented the polio vaccine.
He's the one. Yes,
the
there you
doctor.
go.
Not
He's why I have this.
Not one
Jeffrey
fucking joke
Curry.
about
This
Jonas
guy's
Salk.
older than me. What are you
Oh,
kidding me? You were probably
knows.
hanging out with Jonas
Everybody
Salk
knows
just to
Jonas
write us
Salk.
some jokes for him.
Everybody
Jonas, let me
knows.
sit in your laboratory. Maybe I write us something funny for you.
Everybody should know Jonas Salk. Anyway, he's the only one who did his homework. I'm very disappointed. I had a lot of confidence in you, and I was really pulling for you, and you didn't even bother to write jokes on you. I was hoping you would at least use your phone. You didn't even have jokes to say. And listen, when you're in a competition, if you have to take comedy seriously, if you're going to be good at it, all right? And so when you have the opportunity to be in a competition, the least you can do is write jokes and bring them in and prepare. You could have used notes. He used notes.
No, yes.
You used nothing. And very often he would say something and you didn't have a comeback. And I was very disappointed. I think that if you're going to be in the comedy world, that you need to really do your homework and come in prepared. If you get a spot in a club and you come in unprepared, you will never work there again. Nobody's going to give you that second chance.
Yeah, see,
you
I'll-
have to bring it.
I'll go with what he's saying, and I'm actually one that I'm always writing, but I'll never read the notes on it. Like, when you do a roast, you do, like, every time I do a new show, for instance, let's say I'm in Texas, I know nothing about Texas. I do research the night before, I pick out relatable things in Texas or in that town, and I'll write them down. you don't necessarily have to read off of the paper.
I mean, I did write some stuff down. I just
Right.
didn't use it because I find when I have something, I have anxiety. So I just I don't say it right.
You double think.
But
that's
I
why
didn't
you
do
need
well,
support.
yes.
That's why you need
Yeah.
support.
Right.
Because everyone has anxiety.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know anybody who doesn't go on stage.
At least with my material that I do on stage, I
Right.
find I do better if I don't bring my book. I don't.
Well, no,
think,
you
that
don't-
didn't
I'm
transfer
not
well
talking
here.
about
You don't
bringing
have-
a
you don't have
book
to bring
on
your
stage.
book.
My notes.
This
Like
is
you
a different
could have
scenario.
had notes where you kind of like what I do is I'll make notes of like almost cliff notes. I won't write the whole joke or whatever. It's just cliff notes of almost things like reminders.
Right.
So you could have made notes about him. I mean, again, about that fucking mustache, and like
Yeah.
cliff notes where you boom, boom, boom. Okay, he says this. I'm going with this. I'm going with this. I'm going with this. On a roast, you almost need to do that because you have to be quick. I mean, listen, not a lot of people are quick off the top of their head that quick because you're battling somebody that's reading off of notes and you're going off the cuff. It's tough.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
very
And
hard.
there is a reason he's
Yeah.
dressed like that too. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's,
I still haven't
Give
found out the
material.
reason, but I'm sure there is one.
It's to help, give you guys material to go off of.
And at the roast
and it-
battles in Manhattan.
It's also
the
so
clubs
her
in-
mother and father don't kick the shit out of me when I leave here.
They ain't
Take off
watching.
with this stupid mustache and
They
hat.
don't know who you are.
They have no idea
He's
who
in
I am.
disguise.
I just want to say, at the roast battles at the clubs in Manhattan,
Mm-hmm.
all the comedians who come on, and these
On
are
their
guys who do
phones.
television, they all have notes either on a card or on their phones, and they refer to it, and it doesn't take away from them. They would
Okay.
never do it during their act, but a roast is a different
Yeah,
thing, 'cause
they're
these are
sitting at the
jokes-
podium with a piece of
Yeah,
paper
yeah.
with
these are
cliff
jokes
notes
that you're
and
not
stuff.
going to use over and over again.
Right.
This is a one-time thing.
They're
You're
personal
roasting
attacks.
somebody.
Yeah, personal
so-
jokes on someone.
So you come up with
Yeah.
notes, so you come unprepared. So I have to give you a 5.
A 5. And I think that's also, like to his point and everybody's point,
Oh, yeah.
always be prepared. Always do your homework, your research, and have, to lack of a better way, bullets in the gun, ready to go.
Comedy is not a joke.
Yeah, exactly. You got to
You
take
gotta
it
be
serious. You
serious
can't just
about it, yeah.
rely on instincts
Right.
all the time.
And hope that you'll be funny when it comes down to it.
Right.
Right.
You must prepare. It's homework.
Yep, I
Gotta
agree.
do your
totally.
homework.
I agree totally.
Okay, ciao,
Thank
everybody.
you, the
Ciao.
good boots,
Ciao.
everybody. All right, so now what we'll do is, Dana, we'll just have you go out there. We're going to bring in. Do you have to go now? You
What
got
time
to-
is it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So give a big hand, Anthony Rodia, for
It was
coming
fun.
down here.
Thank you,
Get
guys.
ready now to go to McGuire's. I think the show's sold out, but
Yeah.
maybe if you get there, you can sneak in through the back door. He's going
Don't
to
fucking listen to him. You're gonna give me seating arrangement anxiety.
Anthony, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you, man. It's huge.
Good to see you, man. Thanks.
Same here.
All right, so while Anthony leaves, we're going to bring in Arnie Price, who is now going to tell us all about
Good luck, guys.
our affiliate, Island Ice Hockey. All right, so come on in, Arnie.
guys?
Arnie, stand right there where they were. You can talk into that microphone. We'll get you all set up.
Let me get myself set up.
Arnie Price is here. Arnie Price was a contestant on our show. Him and his best buddy Bruce Lipsky went at it. He lost to Bruce, but we keep Arnie around because we love him, and he's also our hockey spokesman.
Oh, so he doesn't always dress that way. This is just this is
I usually wear a thong.
He should be the hockey
just-
guy. Yeah.
Look at the booty.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right, wear a thong.
All right,
Okay,
Arnie.
guys.
So tell us what's going on. We got the graphic for the Island Ice Hockey. We'll put that up there, and with Arnie Price, I'll let you know when you were ready to do this. Are you ready, Sam? And go ahead. Arnie.
Okay, Island Ice Hockey by MHL. From weekdays to weekends, from inexperienced to experienced, from 16-year-olds to someone that's old as me. We got a team for you. Look, I got the stick, I got the gloves, I can play. You think you can play? You can play? But you know what we're going to try this time? We're going to try to have a girl team. Dana, we're going to have Dana run the team. But before I forget, I want you to make sure you sign up. You got to go to islandicehockey.com and sign up. You got to tell them Arnie sent you. Now, we deal with a lot of old people like me that don't know about the internet and the .com stuff. So if you don't know it, and you don't know what a .com is by now, you might as well be dead, but you can also call 631-262-0543. You got to take the phone. You hit the buttons. 631-262-0543. You call the number. Someone will be there for you. I think, hey, Dana, You think you could do the ice hockey?
Is this the special?
Let's see.
Yeah, Wes, watch your. Don't trip
Let's
over
see.
it.
Put the
Come
glove
on into
on.
the frame.
What incarnation?
Let me know when they're both in there, Sam.
Put the glove. The other hand is the glove. Come on, you want to be the manager.
So Arnie is
of
now.
the team.
You're trying to
gotta
recruit
see.
Dana McAllister to.
I think we should have a woman team. Don't you
you
think?
have to move over a little more.
She
Dana,
got
so
the
you can-
stick.
Mike, I have a stick.
There you go.
She got the stick. I think Dana could do it too.
Yes.
What do you think?
Have
do
you
you
ever ice
think,
skated
Dana?
before,
I mean,
Dana?
if it's in the Special Olympics, I'm
I don't care.
I don't think I
Good looking woman. How could you not think I want to? No one's gonna check her. She's gonna win the game.
Very good.
So again,
Everyone will want to check me. I'm a beautiful woman.
that's right. That's why we want you. So again, go on the internet. Go to islandicehockey.com. Sign up. Tell them Arnie sent you.
Tell them Arnie sent you, everybody.
I won't be there.
Island Ice Hockey, 631-262-0543. And go also islandicehockey.com and join now. They got leagues for everybody, just like Arnie said. And Arnie, you've been watching the show. You're a veteran of this show. What do you think about these two contestants?
I think these guys are very competitive. They're pretty good, the two of them. I was listening to them, and the voting's going to be pretty damn tight. The only thing I got a problem is someone slipped me these envelopes. I don't know.
You got some. Somebody is trying to persuade you. You think?
I didn't look in the envelopes. It says here, Dana and Andrew.
Wow.
I do take bribes. So, when I look in the envelope, ooh, a key.
Key to what?
$1.
Wow.
Andrew, $1?
that was Dana's. I gave you
No, Dana. Oh, hi, honey. Now.
He was to my chest.
So no, they're both really, really good. It's very hard to do what you got to do here, and a little bit of experience will get you there. They're very funny, and I really want to clap for them.
Yes.
They both did really well.
Arnie Price, everybody.
Thank you guys for having me down here.
Arnie, you know I love you when you come in. You always make me crack up. You're a great dude. Check out Arnie Price. You're all over
I'm
the
all
internet.
over the place.
Yeah,
I'm
and he
just-
performs all over Long Island.
If you look for me up on Facebook, friend me on Facebook, and we could talk on Facebook. We'll have a good time.
Arnie Price. Thank you, Arnie.
Good night, guys.
Yes. So now we'll take a second. So now that Anthony Rodia is gone, Benny Gaguch Rizzuti will be filling in as far as the rest of the judging is concerned. Yeah, because Anthony, that show just kind of popped up, and you have to take a gig when, especially a sold out show at McGuire's.
You can pass that up to do a podcast. No matter how good the podcast is, you must do the sold out show.
So what are you thinking so far, Jeffrey, about these comedy rounds and about the show we have here?
I think it's really great. I'm really glad I came out for it. I'm glad, I'm in Manhattan all the time. I don't get to see Long Island comedy or clubs. I hadn't been out to Governor's until I came out for the party last week. So it's a great club. It's a beautiful club, actually. I'm looking forward to seeing some shows here. And I really like what you're doing. I think it's a very, very difficult thing. As I said, it's an honor to be a judge. It's very hard to judge people.
Yeah.
Because it's such a hard thing. But I hope that some of the comments that we've been giving them will be helpful to them in their career, because it really takes a lot of work to do comedy, and you got to be a writer, and you got to stay home, and you got to write, and you have to prepare, and you have to learn your material, and you got to try it out at open mics or wherever you get an opportunity. It's a very, very difficult thing. It's not something you take lightly. Comedians hate it when just everybody thinks they're a comedian these days. There are
Right.
millions of them.
Right.
Years ago, there was hardly any comedians. There was just not a lot of comedians,
And everybody thinks that it's one of those crafts, the old saying, everybody's a comedian, everybody thinks they can do it until they do it. Then they realize how difficult
Yeah, it's a
it
lot
really
different being funny with your friends than being funny on stage. People come over to me all the time. Oh, you should see my friend. He's hilarious. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And but try to get up on stage, and they try to tell the same kind of things they say to their friends, and no one laughs in the audience because it's not funny.
Yep.
You're only funny to your friends.
Exactly.
It's a real art form, and it's not easy.
True indeed.
One of the
True
hardest
indeed.
things
Thank
to
you.
do.
And having you here too, Jeffrey, is a huge privilege for these guys to be critiqued by you, because it's probably would never have happened in any other circumstance. That to get your time like this and your undivided attention on these comedians.
I like trying to help young comics.
Really
I think it's really important. I've had the pleasure of working with some of the greats. Not just from years ago, but from today. Nick Kroll and John Mulaney, and I did. If you don't mind, I'll show.
Yeah. Show you the books and everything now.
I did this book. Oh, is this where you hold it? This is where you hold it. Where do you hold it? I can't even
How are we
see.
looking?
Where,
Sam?
am I
You
holding
see-
it in the
Are
right
you
place?
seeing the book nicely?
You're not seeing the book at all.
Oh,
Oh, you're on them right now.
Oh, you have to hold
Oh,
it.
you
Oh,
should-
okay.
okay.
So it's called Make 'em Laugh. It's the history of the comic strip. It's the club, and Chris Rock wrote the introduction. It's the club where he was discovered by Eddie Murphy in 1985, when Eddie was the biggest star in the world. And I have interviews with Seinfeld and Ray Romano and Colin Quinn, Susie Essman, Lisa Lampanelli, Jim Gaffigan. Every big star that came out of that club is in that book. It took 4 years to do that book.
That's a great book.
3 years to do all the interviews, because it's very hard to schedule all those people. And then it took a year to edit, and I transcribed every word myself. I wouldn't trust anybody to do it
Wow.
except for me. So the owner of that club is Richie Tinkin, who's my co-author in there, and today we launched the podcast, which is why I brought my own mic, just in case this mic didn't work. I brought my own mic, but there's no camera on me, is there? No.
Is he on? Are we on? Yeah.
Oh, there is?
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I don't see it. So anyway, this is my mic. Yeah, it's the Comedy Matters TV podcast from the stage of the comic strip, not from the audience or from a lab. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but we're doing it from the stage of the comic strip because it's an iconic stage.
Very cool.
It's where Adam Sandler recently did his Netflix special,
Yeah.
and where Jerry Seinfeld came back to do his Netflix
Yep,
special.
that was a great
So it's
Netflix
a big
special.
honor to be doing it from there.
Long Island's own Jerry Seinfeld, ladies and
Yep.
gentlemen. Well, we appreciate you, Jeffrey, coming down here and being a part of this thing. And now we're getting ready for our Wheel of Jokes.
Okay.
And now this is a Wheel of Jokes where we have
yeah.
all kinds of categories on here on this wheel, as Benny is getting the wheel now presented. It's kind of a small studio space in here, so we're trying to make sure everything fits and make sure that it gets on camera nicely.
Yikes.
Is it on camera?
Oh.
How are we looking?
Slightly this way.
All right, we're going to turn it, make sure it frames up nicely. How's that look?
Good.
Looking good. Okay, cool. So
We're
Benny,
like cramming 100 pounds of manure in a 50-pound bag over here.
now he's got the nice little southern twang going on. Benny, are you ready to tell these people what's going on?
Don, I am ready to tell them what's going on.
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right, listen, from knock-knock jokes to political satire, a comedian should always be armed with a hilarious anecdote, so each comedian will spin the wheel of jokes and must tell a funny joke with a setup and a punchline for whatever categories they land on when they give the wheel a spin.
That's right. So this is the Wheel of Jokes, and here are some of the categories we have. Knock-knock joke, dad joke, mama joke, children's jokes, dirty jokes, observational jokes, corny jokes, hacky jokes, best celebrity impressions, and political jokes. So each contestant will get 3 spins. They got to do 3 jokes, essentially. There's also some other little things on here. They get extra points. They get points taken away. There's all kinds of little tricks on this thing. So, Andrew.
And again, these are supposed to be jokes and not stories, right?
no,
jokes.
these are jokes.
Jokes.
These will be
Okay.
1-2 punch
Okay.
jokes, set up, punch, jokes.
Okay, cool.
All right, so who goes first here? All right, so we can swap places, please, guys. And we will let Dana McAllister, we'll start it off. Go ahead and spin the wheel. And let's see.
Not a lot of resistance on that. All right.
That's a good win.
Lose 10.
Best celebrity impression.
That's the one I was
All right, let's see your celebrity impression, Dana McAllister.
All right, so this was the hardest one for me to figure out. So,
Figures you got that, right?
of course.
one. Yeah,
That's
right.
the McAllister
That's how
curse.
it works.
all right. I'm gonna build a wall. It's gonna be a great wall, the greatest wall you've ever seen. It's gonna have a tanning booth on both sides, and the pails are gonna pay for it. And that's all I got.
The pails are going to pay for it. Very good. And I assume that was
That was Donald Trump.
Donald
yeah.
Trump, who really is into tanning
And walls.
and walls. All right, go ahead and give it a wheel another spin. Let's see what we got.
Instant win.
Children's joke.
Children's joke.
So this one I was confused because I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be for children or about children. So I.
Well, however
Either
you
one.
interpret it. However you interpret it.
We've already had dead children. I mean, you can't do much worse than that.
Strap in, Benny.
That's right in Andrew's wheelhouse.
Strap in. Strap in.
It's hard to follow up dead baby jokes, but here I go.
Alice Cooper did it. Sorry.
What sound does it make when you put a baby? What sound does it make when you put a baby in a blender?
What?
Oh.
That's what
I
I
like
got
that.
from children's joke.
Wow. Okay, very nice. It's a feel-good one. All right, go ahead, spin it again. Give it a little bit
That
more
was a
spin.
terrible-
Give us a
I
little
have
bit. There you go.
polio.
Get some juice on that thing.
This isn't. I should have handicap points for that.
Why is
Lose 1 point.
Why is that even a thing?
Lose a point. She loses a
Why is
point.
that even a thing?
Because God.
And because of that, do one more.
Spin it again.
Because you
I think if she gets to lose 1 point again, she should get
Let's
another
go for
point back.
instant five. Instant five.
Yes, instant 5
instant
points.
5
So
points.
4.
So give her 4 points on there.
Wait a
Cool.
minute. That's,
So she
I
got-
gotta
yeah,
write
so-
that down. Okay. Jamie gets, so we have to add 4 points to whatever we give her. Hold on. Okay.
Well, yeah, no, he already added it in.
He's doing it?
So
Oh,
she
he's
already
doing
got.
it,
Yeah,
okay.
she already got it. All right, so those were the 3 jokes that she landed on. She had.
Wait, but you only told 2 jokes.
well, she
I'm only
also
allowed
she
3
spun.
spins.
Yeah, she got
I got
the.
4.
Oh, that counts as a joke?
Yeah, because it's just a wheel. But yeah, so she gave us the 2 jokes. We got the crazy children's joke about grinding up babies in a
In a blender.
in a blender, and
took
then
that
we
wrong.
had the Donald Trump impression. So
It's a tough show on children tonight.
yeah, I know. This is like children somewhere are crying right now. They're just
We're coming
standing
for you,
around.
children.
We're probably a babysitter's dream right now. If you don't go to bed, I'm gonna send you to these guys.
In a blender.
You'll have
No
to watch
blender,
Government
yeah.
Radio.
Gagooch,
Yeah.
what do you think? This is your first
All
time
right,
judging and giving scores?
It's my first time judging. All right, Dana, when you did the Donald Trump, I knew you were doing Trump because of the wall, but it really sounded like Martin Luther King Jr. I did think of that more. Like, I'm gonna, and you were selling it like that. So I like the fact that you sold it, that you were trying to sell it. The blender joke was like at the very end. Even though you were selling the joke, it was like at the very end you kind of had like second thoughts. Did you kind of?
Yeah, because while
Yeah,
that
no.
joke was the better of the one that I wrote, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if it fit the category. So that's
Well,
why I was like, ooh, maybe this was a bad
No,
one.
no.
But then-
I think that if you're going for it, you should just go run into the wall with it, and that's the way I feel personally. You were doing
Commit.
it. Go into it, really. Grind those kids up in that blender.
Yeah, commit to it.
You
Go
know.
full force.
Yeah, so
You hate kids.
so because of that it sounded like you had second thoughts at the end. I do like how you were selling Donald Trump, even though it didn't sound like Trump to me.
Did I
You still sold it, and getting the pails to pay for it. So I'm going to
pails.
give you a 6.
A
on that.
6
All right.
from Benny Gagooch.
And then you're adding 4 to that? That makes it 10?
Is it
Well,
the
she already
six
got the
plus
extra
four?
point. Just
round.
add it
All
to her
right,
score. Yeah.
It's for
No,
the
it's 6 total. I'm going to give her 6 total.
Okay.
So I'm giving you a 2.
Oh, okay.
2
Wow.
plus 4 is 6.
Wow, there you
That
go.
is
So 6.
true.
All right, very good. Jeffrey, what do you think?
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to what I said before, too, that if you were going to, I'm assuming that you wrote a joke about every potential thing that could come up on the wheel, right?
2. Yeah.
What do you mean 2?
I tried to write 2 for everyone.
2 jokes.
2, okay, but you covered,
Yeah.
okay, each topic with 2 jokes. So to limit yourself, there's so many things that you could say about children. Why you chose a blender, I'm not sure. There's so many things about raising children, about children misbehaving, about whether I'm going to have children, there are so many directions that you could have gone in. I want you to expand your comedic mind a little bit. It's like comics coming up and just telling bathroom jokes. Just
Yeah.
thinking about putting a baby in a blender, it's not creative. It's not creative, and I think you could do better than that. And I want to encourage you to do that. The comedy mind is like a muscle, and you need to work it.
Cool.
And the more you write, the bigger it gets. Just like a regular muscle. When you do exercise, it increases. Because I'm rooting for you. I want you to do good. I think you have a good message. and I'm looking forward to seeing your stand-up act. But you're new. You're a new performer.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take wind out of your sails. I
Oh,
think
no,
it's
you're not.
great that you're doing this.
I like the critiquing.
But I want, yeah,
He's doing great.
I want you to expand your thinking
Okay.
and take it. There are so many directions that you could have gone in, but you chose the easy one,
Mm-hmm.
something silly like that, and it's not creative. It doesn't show you off to your best ability.
For some reason, for me, I use my polio as a crutch, haha, because that's all I've really made jokes about so
Right.
far. So it's hard. I don't really know how to write comedy yet.
Okay,
But
well,
I'm working on
that
it.
comes.
But yeah.
That comes. But this
But I
isn't where
appreciate
you'd
that.
want to
Muscle
go.
going,
That's
like
not
you
where
said.
you'd want to go.
Right.
Because even talking about polio, you can talk about having a child and saying, well, maybe they'll have it, maybe they won't have it. Who knows? But there's a million directions that you
Right.
could have gone in, and that's the point that I'm making.
Okay,
Whatever it is
yeah.
that you choose,
That's smart.
it didn't have to be something like putting a baby in a blender or something. You know?
Okay.
So
And what was the score?
So I'd say a 5.
A 5. A 5 from Jeffrey Gurley.
Total?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Dana McAllister, blending babies.
Woo! It's a pastime.
All right. So we got 1 blending babies, 1 killing babies. Now you know that our judge does not like dead baby jokes.
Hurting
So
babies.
stay away from them. Stay away from them.
Let's just throw this out there.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me? I just have to throw out all
Put
of
it in
these
the
jokes?
paper. Yeah.
I just want to hear creativity.
Yeah, he wants creative jokes. So now we're getting ready now, Andrew. It is your turn to spin the wheel of jokes. What is the
He got an
instant
instant 5 points?
Bullshit.
All right, keep going. Go again.
Done with this one.
Observational
Observational joke.
joke.
Okay.
All right, here we go with observational.
joke. Let me just.
Have you ever noticed?
Yes. You ever notice that there are no Christmas Carol for guys who are like in the friend zone? I imagine that it would be sort of like along these lines. On the second day of Christmas, I got the guy who wants to sleep with me, 2 blue balls, and no chance to sleep with me.
Very nice. I like that. That's good. All right, spin the wheel of jokes.
It's really jokes.
Let's see where it's going to go. The wheel of jokes is spinning around. It is another observational joke.
Luckily, I did write 3 jokes for all of them.
There you go. Very nice.
Yeah.
He won.
This is something that I am trying to work into my regular act. So, so in the New York metro area, I don't know if you guys knew this, but amongst English speakers, we're the only ones who separate Mary, Mary, and marry. Okay, which is great because I wonder what would happen in those other places when Mary marries Mary.
Very nice. Nicely done, Andrew. Since we gave her 4 spins, we'll give you another spin as well. See if we get another joke out of you.
I really want the impression.
Trying to keep it fair as possible.
Okay.
Hacky joke.
Hacky.
A hack joke.
Hacky. Let me see.
Hack has many
He already
definitions.
did that one.
Oh!
Yeah, I've already.
Jeffrey coming out swinging. There's many definitions of hacky, but let's hear what you got.
Oh, so this is kind of a combo. What is black and white and red all over?
What?
A newspaper.
man.
What is black and white, black and white, black and white?
What?
That's a nun rolling down the hill. What's black and white and Epstein didn't kill himself?
Oh!
That's my left turn.
There you go, folks.
That was funny.
That was also observational. No. Oh, very good.
Why do people tie their shoes? I should have done that, right?
So,
That's observational.
so Jeffrey, we'll start with you. What do you think about his Wheel of Jokes and his performance on there?
First, I want to say something about observational humor. Do you know who started that? Robert Klein and David Brenner were probably the first 2 guys to do observational
Right.
humor, because before that it was all one-liners.
Right.
And didn't Brenner
know?
also was the one to say, "Hey, you never noticed that?" Isn't he the
Yeah,
one to
and
coin
that's
that?
and
Yeah.
that's really an observation. Like what you were doing weren't really observational jokes. It's more like something that everyone can relate to, or something about a generalization. Like, have you ever noticed you never see a love scene in a Chinese accent? Something like that. You know what I mean? You have
Right.
to. It's like it's a broader term. Something that people can can really relate to. So it was a good effort for sure. It was a good effort. These are very, very difficult things to do, and so I'm going to give you a 5 also.
Wow, a 5 to Andrew Plajanos. Okay,
Thank you very much.
Gagoots was hidden
all right.
behind the wheel here.
I feel that they weren't observational jokes either. The joke, and then when you did the other joke of the newspaper, what's black and white and red all over. I mean that's
a hacky.
It's supposed to be
That's
hacky.
a.
All right,
I'm sorry. That's a hacky classical
supposed
joke.
to
be.
I nailed it. Thank you,
Yeah,
Benny.
that is hacky.
Yeah, all right, that was
So
the
I got
hacky
perfect
one.
on that one. Nice.
I don't really see it as. I see it as like, is that that you're like digging up a garbage pail in back of the hacky joke factory,
Right.
And you got that one because that's like what has four
That's
wheels.
So
in
is that
front.
not what I was
Yeah,
supposed to
no,
do?
that's-
All
I'm
right.
confused because the next time, because if I make it to the next round, I want to make sure I don't
Well,
screw this
That's
up again.
hack. That's exactly.
All right.
For me, that's exactly the kind of hack jokes we're kind of looking for.
Right.
All right,
Or old
that's
hack-
what he's
yeah.
looking
Right,
for.
yeah.
I don't know. This is my first time as a judge. Don't beat me up.
No,
after
I
this.
just
no. But the
for
observational
clarification.
jokes, I didn't feel that they were observational at all. Maybe that's a little funny little song there. With the blue balls, and I'm reading here. So my wife thought that was very funny, and she said, "Did you see my husband in the bathroom?" She asked that question.
Yeah,
But,
hacky jokes aren't only old jokes. They're usually like jokes that don't show a lot of creativity
All right,
or like
so-
themes.
Like
like
about
airplanes
I came in and everyone had a mustache and those were the girls.
No, absolutely.
That's the hacky joke. That people
right.
use those. But
But I guess the newspaper just for me. But you're right, it was a hack. But I'm going to also give you a 5.
Right.
5.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Cool.
And you gave him the extra 5 that he got as well, right? So, all right. So now time is chewing away here as we get closer. So we'll take the wheel down, and then we will get ready for your guys' 5-minute sets. But before we do that, we're going to ask Gagoots, Benny, if what kind of comments have we been getting so far on our?
We've been getting a lot of comments. A lot of people have been watching, and they say hi. A lot of people. Taz, the residential artist, of course,
Oh, my favorite.
is watching.
Yes.
Gina
Kanjemi
Kanjemi Coffin. Great
nice.
judges today.
Yes.
So she says, and
Good. The judges are rocking today. We had.
a lot of people are the real drunk housewives of Australia. Good day, ladies.
Hey, hello.
day.
Good day over there in Australia. Hope all is well.
They're watching us in
And,
Australia.
That's so cool.
and they-
Yeah.
People are watching in Australia.
Yeah, we
The-
have the
What?
drunken
that's
house.
The
so
real
interesting.
drunk housewives of Australia.
Yep.
And,
Nice.
I guess it didn't burn the cable.
Oh, I'm
line.
sorry. Are we talking at the same time as you guys?
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry for talking while you were interrupting. I
sorry.
apologize. But yeah, we're getting a lot of people are watching us, and from all over. Someone from Holland, another person from Colorado before,
Excellent.
from Baltimore.
Remember to
people
vote.
Baltimore and Australia. Those are two.
Yeah,
Baltimore, we're
interesting.
big in
all
Australia.
over the
Very
place.
interesting.
We're hopping around like a kangaroo.
And we welcome
Okay,
you
good.
all. And please remember to vote on our Put Up, Shut Up, and Stand Up Facebook page. Pinned to the top are the two beautiful faces of Andrew Plajanos and Dana McAllister. You guys seen many of the rounds they went through today, so vote based off of their performances and who you think deserves it. Your score, so the winner of that fan poll gets 10 points. So they count as basically a judge who gives them 10 points, and that can make the difference of the make or break of this competition. So now,
Over 250 votes.
over
on
200.
it.
Oh,
Over
excellent.
250 votes going on. So
Excellent.
we'll
Oh,
announce
that's great.
that right
That's
after.
really great.
So now we have their 5-minute sets. So we're running up against the clock. So what we'll do is we'll start. Andrew will go first. So Dana, you can go over here. Give Andrew the microphone. You could either stand or sit, wherever you're comfortable, and do your stand-up set. I will set the clock at 5 minutes. Are you ready?
I am ready.
And ladies and gentlemen, here he is, folks. The vampire we all love, Andrew Plajanos, everybody. Yes.
Thank you very much. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and start off real quick.
Back a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're going to start off real quick with addressing the 800-pound gorilla in the room. I have a fantastic mustache.
You're allowed to clap. It's
Yeah,
nice.
the
Yeah.
mustache.
No, you're welcome. Do you know how I found out I have a fantastic mustache? The guy behind the counter at Hot Topic told me so. Yeah. Yeah, and he was dressed like a pirate. You can't ask for better validation than that. I am a dad. I'm a dad of daughters. And when you have daughters, everybody says the same thing. They're always like, oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, I get it. Someday somebody's going to want to date them. But I'm really lazy. So I figured out the best way for a lazy person to raise daughters. I'm going to raise them weird. And so far it's working out all right. I was at Stop and Shop, a local supermarket, with my daughter. I was 4 years old. And we go and look at the lobsters. Now, she sounds like Vinnie Barbarino. So she looks up at me and goes, hey, Dad, let's go look at the lobsters. I'm like, okay, let's go back. So we go back. And there's one, usually it's sad. There's like 3 lobsters, and like one of the claws is all messed up. It's missing an antenna. So this time there's like 30. They literally had just dropped off lobsters. And so the other kid, my other one, 6 years old, she goes, hey, Dad, look, that one's coming right at us. So I see my 4-year-old, and I grab her by the shoulders. I go, take her! Take her! I don't know if you've ever scared a 4-year-old in public before. Huge mistake. I pick her up. I don't want to get me. So I'm like, oh, shh, it's okay, it's okay. What's it going to take? What's it going to take, huh? What's it going to take? And I got out of that one with a pound of M&Ms, and we only had to watch Moana 8 fucking times when we got home. That was nice. You guys hear this okay boomer thing? Yeah. Right? It's pretty sad. They, it's the way young people are making older people feel bad about themselves. Which begs the question, is it pronounced boomer or booma? Do they only get to call each other boomer? Or do they call each other that during their rap battles? Like, boomer, please. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to take a shit on millennials. I think that's played out. I'm a Gen Xer myself. That used to happen to us all the time. I hate the generation after millennials. Oh, it's a stupid name. Oh, I thought I wrote it down. You know what? It's children. I hate children. Guys, I'm so cold. I'm tired. I'm hungry. Oh, I want a job in an economy where I can pay off my student loans and afford a house. You know what? That's millennials too. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I hate both of them. And thank you, guys. All right, 3 minutes. I messed that up. So you guys ever go to 7-Eleven? Ever get the buttered roll? Yeah. So I have also. It's my favorite, and I get really angry lately, and so I've been working my anger out using poetry. I hope you'll indulge me. The name of this poem is Ode to the Guy at my 7-Eleven who puts the butter on the buttered roll. It's short, okay? It's not a haiku. Don't count the syllables, all right? I bet you think you work really hard. You probably hate that you work with lard. Right? Rhymes? But if you don't start spreading that fucking butter over the fucking roll, I'm going to find you and I'm going to kick your ass. It's a work in progress. So I'll take snaps over claps. And, having kids and having doing my poetry, I've found that Mother Goose rhymes need to be redone. So I hope you'll indulge me. 2020 Mother Goose rhymes. Mary, Mary, quite contrary. Change that recipe. I don't do dairy. Little boy blue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to assume gender. Hickory dickory dock. I have to notify everyone on my block. And I'll leave you with Georgie Porgy Pudding and Pie, which was prepared in a facility that processes tree nuts. And that's how he died. Thank you, guys. I'm Andy Plajanos.
Very nicely done, Andrew Plajanos, ladies and gentlemen. Very good, very good. All right. And that's not easy to do, like we said the last time and every time, to do stand-up here in a room full of just a few guys critiquing your every word and your mustache. Yeah. So, no, but on that note, very good stuff. I get a kick out of your comedy, and you always make me laugh. Let's start with the Gagoots with Benny Rizzuti here. Benny.
Oh, you got to start with me? All right.
What do you think of his set there? His best 5 minutes.
All right. I'm a tough guy because I'm a guy that goes. I'm a customer, somebody who goes and pays to see shows.
Right,
You know,
right.
really. And if I paid to see you, I'd ask for my money back. But
Oh,
no. You got me to chuckle. I do understand like that it is very tough to do it in this room, and it's like almost like you're auditioning.
Right.
You know, you're actually auditioning. It was tough. You got me with your daughters. I thought that was very funny. I like how you worked them in. That first you said you had daughters, then you worked in their age and everything. So, and you went along smoothly with that. So, and then I like when you did the millennials, and then you said, "Oh, I wrote that down," and I thought you had me for a minute. I'm like, "Oh shit, is he gonna pull a note out that he forgot?" And then you said children. So I like that. So I'm gonna give you a 7.
A 7 from
Yeah,
Benny
I'm gonna give you
Rizzuti. All right, Jeffrey, what do you have to say?
I liked the earlier part. I liked what you did about your kids. I can see that you have the timing of a joke, but I would stay away from poems. The last person who pulled that off was Dice. It's very hard to do. It sounds punny almost. Puns don't work well. Just poems in general. It's an easy way to lose the audience.
Right.
I think you should just stick to material.
Okay.
And I would give him a 6.
A 6.
Oh,
Very good. All right, Andrew. Thank you very much. Without
By the way,
further
are
ado,
these edible?
yeah, you can have a candy cane. By all means, enjoy the candy canes.
Good job.
Dana McAllister,
Hi.
how are you doing, Dana?
I'm good. It's okay if I keep my notebook out?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Just make sure she's looking good in there, Sam. Right? She's framed up good.
Always look good, though.
All right. Maybe take a step back if you could.
Is it okay if I sit?
Yeah, you can sit down. That would be even better, probably.
I'm not too
I
good
just
at
wanted you guys to be
stand-up.
comfortable, but.
Oh.
All right, so you got 5 minutes on the clock. We're running a little over today, but that's okay. Sam gave us the green light and a little wink and said it's okay. We can go a little. All right, are you ready, Dana? With your best 5 minute set.
Hope so. Yeah, I think I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, folks. Dana McAllister.
Yay. All right. Hope everyone's doing okay. I'm Dana. You probably noticed from the way I limped in that I have something wrong with me. I have polio. I got it from the vaccine. We'll just talk about it. It cured my autism. Thank God, because truly, no one wants to be autistic, but everyone wants a parking pass. I get told a lot that I'm brave for, being alive, and I just want to assure everybody out there that I would have killed myself a long time ago if I could climb to the rafters to hang myself from them. But there are some good stuff. There's some polio perks, especially in the dating world. One of the polio perks is that we get through airport security pretty fast. No one looks in the leg brace for a bomb. So I'm just saying, they're just like, get out of here. No one wants to touch the cripple. It's perfect. That's also a polio problem. No one wants to touch the cripple. Another polio perk is that you're off the hook for the couples marathons unless it is for a Special Olympics event or a marathon on Netflix. Some other polio problems is finding a man who's strong enough to pull me off the ground when I fall down. But a polio perk is that's a great icebreaker, and you can't walk past somebody who's there. Sally got my boyfriends in high school. I would fall down in front of them, and that great breaking point. But another polio problem is that everyone I date has a cripple fetish, and it's really hard to find a gym rat with a cripple fetish. They're usually not into that. Goodness. Sorry, I pulled out my wrong notebook. So I was in a race once. I'm sure everybody knows what the Special Olympics are. I was not lucky enough to be retarded, so I had to do the games for the physically challenged. It's okay. They don't know. They're not listening. So first of all, I'm in 5th grade, and my mom's put me in this for self-esteem. Now, most parents of the disabled children, they put, if you don't have an arm, you're in a running race, and vice versa. My mother put me in the 200-meter dash. And I think it's because she hates me. She just wished death upon me. So I'm in this race. I'm in 10th grade. I'm trying to convince people to come to the games for the physically challenged, which is why I'm a little bitter that the other people get the Special Olympics, because they don't know what they're doing. They're playing tag. But sorry. So I'm in this race, and it's me against a little black boy, and that matters. So the little black boy, he has a prosthetic leg. So I think I'm in because I'm ignorant. I'm an ignorant 10-year-old. And so I look at this kid with such confidence, and I go, "Eat my dust." And this kid took off like a bat out of hell, and that's when I learned that race matters in a race, no matter what race it is. I said everything so fast. What else? I heard that Emma Watson wanted to be self-partnered. So I decided that I want to partner myself as well because I have a foot fetish. I want new ones. Goodness gracious.
New ones.
Yeah, I want new feet. I wonder sometimes if I did PCP, if I would be like an able-bodied strength, or if I would be able to lift the car off of my child if I had one. Yeah, so the main reason for me not wanting to have children, actually, unfortunately, my disability impacts that, because apparently it's frowned upon if you drop them and like you go to jail or something if like you fall on them. So I was actually, true story, walking with my cat, and the worst thing that could happen happened. I fell and I threw the cat, and the cat landed, and just images of a newborn just splattering just hit me. And so, but they make you take a psych test to like donate your eggs or tie your tubes or anything, which I think is ridiculous and should be the opposite way. They should be tied until you pass it. That's just me. That's all I got. So,
Very good.
Thank you.
That was 4:20, coincidentally, on the time. Very good, Dana McAllister. Not easy to do that stuff, and
So fast.
yeah, it's hard to pace yourself when you don't have a live audience giving you laughs and all that kind of stuff. But I think you handled it well. I think you had some really good, strong material there. Jeffrey, what do you think about Dana's set?
Well, I'm going to go back to some of the things that I said before. Something that you're not aware of, you're swallowing some of your punchlines, and like instead of emphasizing them, when you get to the punch, that's why they call it a punch. You have to punch it out. You get quiet on some of your punchlines. Your premise is louder than your punchline, and the audience is going to miss it. So it's important that you do that. I'm talking about structure now. When you structure a joke, there's a premise, and then you end on the punchline. But sometimes you would add words, like your perfect punchline would have been, and I'm rephrasing it, but I don't know about having children because they frown on it if you drop them. That's where you should have ended your sentence, where they drop them. That's your punchline. But you went on to say, and I don't know what you said, but you added words which took away from the punch. So once you have a punchline, end on that, and then pause, and then wait for the laugh. Because if you just continue, the audience is trained to listen to you. They're going to want to continue listening, and then you're going to lose the laugh. Because they feel if they laugh, they're not going to hear what you're going to say next. So you have to know when to stop. You know, one famous comedian once said to me, if you think you're going too slow, slow down.
Yeah.
You know, because you race. You're a little bit too fast. But again, you're new. You're really new. So I give you major props for doing this and for talking about all this. You know, I think it's great. Let me see if I had any other.
I realized I went through my 5 minutes at like 2 minutes and 45. So honestly, the rest was just off the top of my head.
No, you did a great job.
Yeah, and you said that you took your wrong notebook.
I didn't mean to. I opened the wrong note to the wrong note page.
So again, you know, we tend to do that. A lot of it is self-sabotage because you had time standing in that room while he was doing it.
I know.
You had all the time in the world
To
prepare. And yet, when you came out, so you have to be careful of that because a lot of entertainers we engage in self-sabotage, and that hurts. Yeah. That hurts you.
So what's the?
I'm giving her a 6.
A 6.
Oh, all right.
Dana McAllister gets a 6 for her stand-up. Very good. Benny, what do you give her?
Okay, Dana, I think that you are a very funny person and you do have potential to write a very good act. You know, not yet. I understand you. I think you're very funny. I think that as some of the polio, I do agree with Jeffrey about you had the punchline and then you went on, you know, and I guess you thought that was, you were like tagging it, like putting a tag. Right. So I think that I think you should establish that you're funny and then go into the polio. That's just a personal opinion. That, you know, you can have some polio jokes, but then your whole act should not be about about Polly. I think, well, personally, because I just want you to let people know, hey, I'm funny. It doesn't matter what I have, what affliction. I'm a funny person. That's what, because I think that you said earlier that you were using your
my hand
polio as a crutch. And I think, and I do feel you should be more prepared.
Yeah.
So for that, I'm going to give you a 5.
Okay.
All right, but I do think that you could have one killer act, and maybe you'll prove me wrong and say, Benny, I'll tell as many friggin' polio jokes as I want. Go screw yourself.
Kind of the plan. So.
Yeah,
No,
very
I
good.
think it's cool to stick with that too. There's who's that guy who has multiple sclerosis and he does.
I think his name's Josh.
Josh Blue.
Josh Blue, yeah, he's
and
great.
he talks a lot about his disability, and
Right.
I think it's great. It takes so much courage to do that. You just need the jokes to back it up. Just work hard,
Okay.
because you have the energy,
Thanks.
and it's really great.
And the
I'm
stage
I'm
presence
pulling
and
for you.
likability.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. You got all that good stuff.
Thanks.
Very
Yeah,
good,
no,
guys.
I think you have incredible potential. I really do.
All right, so now we are at the end here. Let's get both of them and make sure they're both in frame, and we can see both of their beautiful faces. I do.
kiss and cry?
So Benny, it's time now for the total here.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the totals.
All right,
All
here
right.
we go. He's doing the mathematics right now.
All right. Yes, I'm doing
And
final
tallying it all up.
mathematics.
I do
And,
want to thank you both for coming out today and going through the process in this tournament round, and to get us back. The winner of this will go to round 2, and then eventually to the championship round, which is in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks on February 22nd. So tune in for that. The winner of this will go up against Mandy Jones on, I believe, February 7th. So the winner goes up against Mandy Jones in this round. So we'll see which one has what it takes and which one has what it ain't. Also, remember, this is your last chance, fans at home, to go and vote for these people. Your vote will count.
Click on my big dumb head.
Okay.
All right, so
Click all over my face.
All right.
Yes, click all over my face.
All right, so I tallied up the numbers, and it's almost a tie.
Wow.
Dana had 66 points, and Andy had 67.
Wow.
But the edge goes on the voting. The edge goes to Andy
Yes.
Plaganos.
Andy Plaganos.
Plaganos got
wins.
59% of the vote, and Dana got 41%.
Wow,
of the
very
vote.
close. Both neck and neck, both in the competition, both on the fan poll. Wow, what a competition. Any last words, guys, before we let you go?
Just happy it's over.
I think you should, if you're only doing 1 point better than someone who's in their first year, you should maybe work on it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm bitter.
Yeah.
I will walk around and think about that.
And
Oh, wow.
Ouch.
Now she's
Thank you for
roasted.
That was your roast
fun.
job. That was your roast job.
Yeah.
I learned.
And before I forget, is the cameras on them? The winner, Andy, you get 2 passes for the governor's clubs. But Dana, don't feel gypped. You get a pass also.
I
Yeah,
don't
so
have
feel-
friends, so this is great.
So you can go check out one of the shows at Governor's Comedy Club.
Thank you very much.
Right there, you can bring 4 people, and
You can bring 8.
and yeah, he could bring
all
8.
of your voters.
And yeah, and you can bring 8. You can bring 4. So everybody's a winner here, and the past winners will get theirs as well because we just got these. So all of our and Mandy Jones will get hers, Bonnie Scalisi will get hers, and all of the other participants, Jeff Bosey, and of course our buddy Bruce Lipsky. But tune in again. Andrew Plaganos will be going up against Mandy Jones next week. Eli Velasquez versus Kristen Tinsley. So that's going to be another battle of it all. I do want to thank Jeffrey Gurian for coming out here from Manhattan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you to
True
Anthony
legend.
Rodia.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
got
you to
2
Benny.
books.
Thanks for stepping in, Benny.
Yeah, this is the important one that I'd like to plug. 'cause
This
it's
book
my
is-
newest, it's my
Want us
newest
to
book
hold
on
it?
happiness. You want to hold it for me?
I got you.
Yeah, and it's called Healing Your Heart by Changing Your Mind. And it's all about letting go of the pains from our childhood so that we can achieve happiness. Every single one of us has pains that we accumulate from the time we're kids. Every time someone breaks a promise or hurts your feelings or breaks up with you, I call them heart wounds. And we carry them with us, and they affect our self-esteem and our self-confidence, and they affect every decision you make, because every time you have to make a decision, it's based on your thoughts. And if your thoughts are faulty, and very often we're given thoughts by people who didn't have our best interests at heart. If your thoughts are faulty, your decisions are not going to work for you. This book is resonating with people, and it's a bestseller on Amazon. You can get it as an ebook, as a paperback, or as an audio book like Don got.
I listened to it all week long.
Oh, that's awesome.
Had Jeffrey's voice in my ear all week long. Very soothing, beautiful voice.
Jeffrey's
And-
picture on this is fantastic. I really, that's a great.
Oh, yeah, I
show
love that
that.
I mean,
picture.
it's a
Yes.
picture from the promo, too.
Yes.
Thank you,
That's
and
a
I
nice
and I
thing, too.
and I got I got great reviews
It's-
from psychiatrists and psychologists and people in recovery.
What I love about it is you're really talking, and I know we're running a little late here, but you're talking about changing the way you think or remember the past sometimes, and to just when you change that, because everything that we go through in life becomes part of the fiber of our in every cell of who we are. So if
Exactly.
you go through a lot of trauma, you're carrying that around.
You're carrying that trauma with you, and I used it on myself to cure myself of stuttering. We were talking about it as a joke, but I stuttered very severely until I was in my 20s and beyond. I couldn't even say my name. I could never say Gurian. And I used what's in this book, to learn how to change the way I think. So it's not just about stuttering, it's about overcoming obstacles in your life. And that's why I felt proud of Dana.
Thank
Because everyone has an obstacle, and you can either let it crush you or you can overcome it. You can work hard to overcome it. And I always admire people who do that, because it's not everybody. It takes a very rare person. And I worked very hard to cure myself. And so that's a lot of what the book is about, how to overcome obstacles by changing the way you think. So I appreciate you letting me talk about it for a minute.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I urge everybody
very
to read that book. I read the book on the audio book. Like I said, Jeffrey's it was in my ear every morning and every way home during my commute into Manhattan, and I really loved it. It actually. I actually learned a lot from it, and
Thank you.
There's a lot of really great moments. I love the you met a lot of famous people, but when you met Salvador Dali and how you made that happen, he just had it in him. He just said, "I want to meet Salvador Dali, and how am I going to do that?" And then he made it happen. And the stories you got. Should we leave that one for the readers?
Yeah, you can manifest a lot. There were only 3 people I ever wanted to meet. Woody Allen, who was my idol in comedy, Salvador Dali, and the Beach Boys. And I got to meet all of them. And Woody actually read my material. He read my earliest material. He invited me back the next night again. And years later, when I became friendly with Jack Rollins, who was his manager and produced all of his movies, it was Rollins and Jaffe. Jack said he must have really seen something in you, because it isn't like Woody to do that.
Wow.
And I had a great history with him, and I saw him in recent years. We took pictures together. And I made him laugh. I actually made him laugh, because I was going to say to him, I was being reintroduced to him after not seeing him for many years. And I was about to say, "Hey, Woody, I'm a good friend of Jack Rollins." But at the last second, I changed it and said, "Hi, Woody, I'm a good friend of yours." And it made him laugh. He goes, "Really? How long do we know each other?" And I'm like, "Decades. We're very close." And he just thought it was so funny. And so...
And in the book, you mentioned just little weird things that stand out to me. I was going to bring a carton of eggs and have you sign a couple of
Oh,
eggs.
yeah.
eggs
I have people sign eggs in my house, yeah.
yeah, and you keep these eggs for a long time.
I have an egg from 1988.
Wow.
That's the longest.
So he does things that stand out that you will always
Real
remember.
eggs?
Yeah.
My goal was always to say and do things that no one else has ever said or done before,
Did the egg go
which is
bad?
very hard to go. The eggs harden up, by the way. You can keep an egg for 20 years.
Wow.
People don't know that. I have people write on an egg and I put it away. Like I said, I have them from the 80s.
I was going to bring a carton of eggs. And everybody,
Because
everybody-
people never sign an egg. No
Yeah.
one's ever asked them to do that. And people remember that for so many years. I have
Yeah.
people tell me all the time, "Remember when I signed an egg at your house?" So,
Another-
girls mostly. Girls. Men don't really care about signing eggs. Girls find it very interesting to sign an egg.
I think it's
Sign your
pretty.
egg any day.
Another cool thing that you've done that I just didn't really completely understand it was spoons in your eyes. Now, when you said you kind of like hold them there, or are you actually putting it in your eyes?
Like a monocle. Yeah, it was a very
Oh, okay,
strange
the
thing to
yeah.
do. I developed it when I was living in Philadelphia, and Conan O'Brien actually stole that one night and tried to come out holding a spoon in his eye. And Cindy Adams wrote in the New York Post, she goes, "I don't know why anybody would want to claim this, but Jeffrey Gurian did it first." I used to walk around casually with a spoon coming out of the corner of my eye, because I always carry a spoon with me. See?
Oh, hey, he's
And
got
it was
one.
kind of like, like this. It's a very silly thing to do. Look, it's falling out because I'm sweating.
Right.
But I would just walk along casually, and then I would take it out to talk to people.
Right.
Like Bud Friedman, who created the improv, used to wear a monocle in his eye, right?
Right, yeah.
And
I
he would
see.
take it out and he'd put it in when he was talking to people, and I thought it was very odd. So I'm sitting there. Milton Berle was being honored into the Comedy Hall of Fame, and Bud Friedman made a party for him in Montreal at the Just for Laughs Festival, and I was Milton's guest. So we're sitting at the table. Bud Friedman is here, and he's one of the most famous men in comedy. He created the Improv, the very first comedy club of all time.
Right.
He's sitting here. Milton Berle is here, and I'm across from him. And Bud takes out his monocle and puts it in. I take out a spoon and put it in my eye. I'm reading the Bud goes, "What are you doing?" I said, I made the mistake of saying, first I said, "It's very relaxing." And I said, "It's very big on the coast." He's like, "Listen, I'm from the coast. I have never seen anybody do that." And Burl is looking at me like I'm a maniac. So I just took the spoon out and put it away. There was no way I could explain it. But I have a fixation with spoons. I don't know what it's about. But
And you also
in my house, I have spoon plants. I have
Yeah,
spoon.
yeah, that was in the
Everything is. I have flying spoons. When I was 60, I have a collage that I made when I was a kid. There are spoons, and I don't know what it is. I was just attracted to spoons. I don't
That's
know.
awesome.
Can't explain it.
And you also had thumb hats.
Thumb hats. That's how I met Salvador Dali.
Yeah,
I told
yeah,
him I was the thumb hat business. I manufactured eye spoons and thumb hats because I knew I couldn't freak out Salvador Dali.
Right.
There's nothing you
Yeah,
could say to
he's
that
out
man.
there, yeah.
He was wearing a mink coat in August. A full-length mink coat with a jeweled walking stick, which I tried to get for myself. I thought it would be appropriate. And it was a crazy night, and I spent that evening with Salvador Dali.
Well,
So I made it happen. It just shows the power of the mind. If you want to create something for yourself, you can do it.
I
If you
urge-
guys want to be famous in comedy, you can do it if you work really hard.
I urge everybody to get Jeffrey Gurian's latest book. It's so good. There's so many great things, not only about him and stories like how he met Salvador Dali and the spoons and all that, but also a lot of stuff about stuff that you could self-reflect and learn from and really kind of process your own pain and through spirituality and God. And for you, God is a spiritual thing. It's not necessarily a God because, like he also says in the book, religion divides people. It puts people into
Yes,
groups.
exactly.
It separates. But in spirituality, it does the opposite.
It brings us all together.
Yeah.
A lot of people confuse religion and spirituality and think that they're the same thing, and they're not related at all. You can be very religious and not spiritual. And, spirituality, all it asks is that you believe in a force greater than yourself that is controlling your life. We tend to blame ourselves when things go wrong. We live our lives saying, I should have done this, I could have done that, I should have said this. We're living in the past, we're regretting all the things we did, we're fearing the future, and in the meantime, we're losing the now. We're not staying in the present.
Right.
Because we're caught up in the past thinking what we should have and could have done and worrying about the future. So the idea is to stay. Our present right now is this. This is our reality. This is
Right.
all we
All
have.
this
We're
room,
sitting here
all of
together, and that's it. That's all there is. Yesterday is gone already, and who knows what's tomorrow. So this is it. So appreciate this for what it is, and that's the spiritual aspect of it. And once you can incorporate that kind of thinking into your life, it makes things a lot easier.
Yes.
Because we live in such a stressful world. So understanding these things and incorporating. Once you hear something once, you intellectualize it. You don't learn it really. It makes sense to you. That's why I tell people, if you read this and it makes sense, then it can help you. Because that's all it's about. It's about learning to think in a certain way and allowing it to make sense. And once it makes sense, then you can start incorporating it into your thinking. And every time you have to make a decision, your decisions will work out better for you because your thoughts will be healthier.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Jeffrey Gurian.
Yes.
Thank you for allowing me the time
Yes.
to speak about that. I always
Definitely.
appreciate that. Thank
Definitely.
you.
And we appreciate, like I said, you coming all the way out here. And, well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. I want to thank both our contestants for coming on. And, of course, thank you to our judges, Anthony Rodia, Benny Rizzuti, and, of course, Jeffrey Gurian for coming out tonight. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Put Up, Shut Up, and Stand Up. And also, if you're interested in being on the show, email us at putupshutup@gmail.com. That's putupshutupstandup@gmail.com. Also, be sure to check us out on govsradio.com and check out all the shows on Govs Radio and Facebook Live every day, as there are a ton of great shows here all week long. Also, make sure you come out to Governor's Comedy Club and support live stand-up comedy, because there's no better place to see stand-up than to see it live. I'm Don Sill, and on
Can I
behalf...
give my website? Do you mind?
Yes,
if I
go
give my
ahead. Tell
website?
everybody.
Okay, if anybody wants to reach me, well, first look at comedymatterstv.com if you like comedy. On Instagram and Twitter, I'm at Jeffrey Gurian, Gurian. And my YouTube channel is Comedy Matters TV, but it's youtube.com/Gurian News Network. Over 2 million views, over 500 videos with Jimmy Fallon, everybody on down, D.L. Hughley, Kevin Hart, Amy Poehler, every comic that you like, Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. They're all on there, and I hope that you'll reach out. And if you want to reach me, my email is jeffrey@jeffreygurian.com. I look forward to hearing you, and thanks
Yes.
again for having me on.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
I'm Don Sill. On behalf of everyone here tonight, I want to say thank you, good night, and always be funny. Peace out, everybody.